Chapter 25 Untitled. How can you believe whatever he says? What if he's lying to you? Lung Wuxia asked. This eagle is so naive. Lil Purple is my best friend. He wouldn't lie to me. The black-feathered eagle said foolishly immediately after. It contracted with her. 3 as the golden contract array disappeared. Lung Wuxia felt the connection between her soul and the black-feathered eagles. How can there be such an honest spirit beast? This doesn't match its mighty appearance. Lung Wuxia couldn't help thinking. Do you have a name? Lung Wuxia asked. Typically, high-level spirit beasts would have names, but it seemed that her spirit beasts hadn't bothered with coming up with a name for themselves. My friends call me Blackie. The black-feathered eagle scratched its head shyly. I'll call you Quill from now on, Lung Wuxia said after deliberation. Thanks for the name, Master. The black-feathered eagle said awkwardly but merrily. He knew that Blackie didn't sound good. 2 days later, Charm finally broke through, and was now a divine beast. With the descent of the heaven and earth laws, Lung Wuxia also felt the benefits her spirit beast's advancement brought her. The spiritual energy in her body was more abundant, but she did not advance to peak spiritual sovereign. Lung Wuxia's eyes lit up when she saw the stunningly beautiful man emerge from the cave. The man had an air of unmatched magnificence and elegance, looking pure and charming. His purple eyes were bright and deep, and his hair was a beautiful silvery white. It was hard to imagine that a spirit beast would become such a beautiful man after transforming. Such a man would definitely make any woman feel inferior. Master. Charm approached Lung Wuxia, his deep, purple eyes gazing at her gratefully. Very good, Lung Wuxia said. Beloved Master, your darling will be more beautiful when I advance to Holy Beast, Darling proclaimed narcissistically. 2. Lung Wuxia cringed and directly sent him into the heaven and earth bracelet. Woo woo woo. Master doesn't love Darling anymore. Charm, is he really related to you? Lung Wuxia asked doubtfully. How can the 2 foxes be so different? Charm nodded helplessly. He knew that his cousin was ridiculous and narcissistic. Charm, let's go, Lung Wuxia said. Charm nodded. He looked at this place where he had lived for hundreds of years, one last time sentimentally, and then left with Lung Wuxia. Master, we should be approaching the territory of the Silver Wolf tribe soon. Charm had transformed into a palm-sized snow fox, and was lying on Lung Wuxia's shoulder. Silver wolves preferred to live in large groups, and were the smartest, prettiest, fiercest, and mightiest among the wolf race. Moreover, every silver wolf was born an advanced spirit beast. Therefore, no human nor spirit beast dared to provoke the Silver Wolf tribe in the illusionary forest, for their revenge was absolutely relentless. Lung Wuxia had been in the illusionary forest for a while, and was clear that every high-level spirit beast had its own territory. Charm, would the Silver Wolf King think we're here to fight over their territory? Lung Wuxia asked curiously. Although Charm had transformed to look like a spirit beast cub to avoid humans from seeing his level, high-level spirit beasts were very sensitive. Master, high-level spirit beasts won't attack spirit beasts that enter their territories unless they've infringed on their authority, Charm explained. Spirit beasts with their own territories were highly intelligent, so they wouldn't behave so barbarically. That's good. Lung Wuxia had a good impression of spirit beasts like wolves. Beloved Master, Darling wants to be by your side. Woo woo woo. Let Darling out. Darling's voice sounded in Lung Wuxia's head. Hearing Darling's voice, Lung Wuxia felt helpless. She had locked Darling away in the heaven and earth bracelet for quite some time, so the lively purple fox should be bored to death. With this thought, she let Darling out. Darling immediately transformed into a small fox, and hopped onto Lung Wuxia's other shoulder. His fluffy face rubbed against Lung Wuxia's face affectionately. Beloved Master, Darling missed you so much. Lung Wuxia chose to ignore his cringiness. The 1 human and 2 foxes entered the Silver Wolf tribe's territory, and found a meadow to be their campsite. The 2 small adorable foxes swiftly set up the tents that were many times their size, and then prepared the rabbit meat Lung Wuxia took out for dinner. Lung Wuxia started a fire, and began grilling the rabbit meat. The 2 foxes lay her side and waited quietly. When the rabbit meat was almost ready, Lung Wuxia took out the seasonings she had prepared, and sprinkled a pinch on the meat. Its fragrance quickly wafted far and wide. This rabbit was called a wind rabbit. Although it was a low-level spirit beast, it was nimble and elusive. But its meat was delicious, and her gluttonous spirit beasts had caught many of them. She added some more seasonings while grilling the rabbit meat, bringing it even closer to perfection. There were very few seasonings in this world. However, she found many herbs suitable for making seasonings in the illusionary forest, as well as a few wild peppers and chili. They made her, who loved spicy food, elated. She directly planted them in the fields in the heaven and earth bracelet, and had already harvested a lot. Lung Ruoxua distributed the grilled rabbit meat to Charm and Darling, and even let Quill and Blaze out. She also fed Qingju, who couldn't leave the heaven and earth bracelet, a rabbit thigh. She then took out some fish from the bracelet to grill. Too, seeing the little beasts around her eating joyfully, Lung Ruoxua felt content. When she looked up, she inadvertently spotted an adorable palm-sized silver wolf, standing not far away. Its big eyes glistened as it looked at her curiously and timidly, clearly wanting to come over but not daring to. It must be a silver wolf cub. Lung Ruoxua beckoned to the little guy, and it unexpectedly bolted over. Lung Ruoxua picked a rabbit thigh that was not too spicy, and handed it to the little wolf. The little wolf licked her hand in thanks, and then started chewing on the rabbit thigh. 1. Chapter 26. You are special, what a cute little one. Lung Ruoxua carefully observed the little wolf as it ate. The cub was a level 8 spirit beast with good aptitude. The fur all over it was silvery white, and the patch of silver fur on its forehead was particularly obvious. From what she knew, spirit beasts like wolves were extremely protective of their cubs. So she released her divine sense, and unsurprisingly found 2 adult silver wolves in the bushes not far away. It seemed that the origin of this little fellow was not simple. After eating, the little wolf left. The next morning, when Lung Ruoxua had just cooked breakfast, the little wolf returned. Looking at the uninvited little wolf, she generously offered it breakfast. She even let it play with Blaze, and the 2 little fellows quickly got along. She was happy that Blaze finally had a playmate. After all, Blaze was still a child, and Baby, the only other child around her, refused to play with him. Just like this, the little wolf came back every morning and left at night. But after a few days, the little wolf's parents came. Just after Lung Ruoxua harvested some nearby herbs and returned to the temporary camp, she saw a large silver wolf waiting for her. She looked at the silver wolf. She had already been here for a few days and seen many silver wolves, but this was the largest and mightiest one so far. This silver wolf was a level 6 holy beast, and its silver eyes were as keen as daggers. It had a coat of luxurious fur, and also a patch of silver on its forehead that was exactly the same as the little wolf's. In addition to being the little wolf's parent, it was probably the silver wolf king here. While Lung Ruoxua was looking at the silver wolf king, the silver wolf king was also looking at her. This human. I heard from many subordinates that my son looks for her every day. Even I don't see my son as much as this human. Thinking of this, the silver wolf king felt a tinge of jealousy. In fact, from the moment Lung Ruoxua set foot on his territory, he already knew. However, all she did was pull out weeds every day, or practice spiritual skills with his subordinates. She even took good care of his son. Besides, she didn't do anything to harm the Silver Wolves tribe, so he didn't mind her. But as more and more of his subordinates praised her, he couldn't help but become a little curious. It had to be known that spirit beasts, especially high-level ones, loathed humans. In their eyes, humans were greedy, hypocritical, and shameless. Moreover, silver wolves were very proud spirit beasts. For this human to gain the approval of so many of his subordinates, it was a testament of this human's uniqueness. It seemed that she was different from other humans. I am Concord, the king here. The Silver Wolf King introduced himself. Lung Ruoxua. Lung Ruoxua looked at the Silver Wolf King doubtfully, not knowing why he looked for her. She knew that high-level spirit beasts were as intelligent as humans. Furthermore, she heard from Charm that except for some naturally brutal and bloodthirsty spirit beasts, the vast majority of high-level spirit beasts would not actively attack humans unless provoked, despite not liking humans. Although Charm was around, She was unwilling to annoy this tribe of spirit beasts who liked to hold deep grudges. Not to mention that she had a good impression of silver wolves. I shouldn't have provoked them, right? I merely found some silver wolves to practice occasionally. And I even grilled meat for them to repay them. You are special. After speaking, the Silver Wolf King turned around and left. Seeing the Silver Wolf King leave, Lung Ruoxue was flabbergasted. Did he come here just to say you are special to me? One master, the Silver Wolf King specially came to see you, whispered the transformed Charm, who was lying on her shoulder. Charm, what should we have for dinner? Lung Ruoxue asked. She didn't want to intertwine over the matter. Besides, the Silver Wolf King probably meant no harm. I want to eat grilled fish, Charm said shyly. The fish from the space was really too delicious. Okay, let's grill fish. Lung Ruoxue also liked fish. From the Heaven and Earth bracelet, she took out a few large fishes that each weighed 5 kilograms. Charm took the initiative to clean them, and Lung Ruoxue released Darling to help. After the preparations were finished, guests came. Lung Ruoxue looked at the little wolf who came every day. This time he was not alone. By his side were 2 silvery white wolves. One of them was the Silver Wolf King she had just met, and the other was slightly smaller than the Silver Wolf King, and was a level 3 holy beast. If she was not mistaken, it should be the queen of the Silver Wolf tribe, the little wolf's mother. It seemed that the family of 3 were here for a meal. Lung Ruoxue helplessly took out a few rabbits from the Heaven and Earth bracelet, the smallest of which weighed about 5 kilograms. This should be enough. Fortunately, I taught Charm how to grill meat. Otherwise, I would be seriously exhausted. The family of 3 had a very satisfying meal, and from then on they frequently came for meals. Furthermore, Lung Ruoxue gained a better sparring partner. Lung Ruoxue looked at the sword with a thin and sharp blade in her hand. It was a spirit artifact that she had refined herself. Although she was not too satisfied, she could make do with it for now. After all, although spirit artifact-grade weapons were not the best on the Lingfeng continent, they were not bad. Holding the sword, Lung Ruoxue stood opposite the Silver Wolf King and was ready to begin sparring. Concord, you're not allowed to go easy on me, or else I won't give you any food, Lung Ruoxue reminded. She didn't dare to let her own beasts be her training partners, lest they became hurt. Even if she did, she wouldn't go all out. Thus, she could only find the lower-level silver wolves. But they were not on par with her individually, and the training effect wasn't much, so she would request to fight with a few dozen at once. The Silver Wolf King was different, as he was a level 6 holy beast, which was equivalent to peak spiritual sovereign. In fact, he was only slightly stronger than her, so he was definitely the best sparring partner. Furthermore, he was very experienced in combat, which allowed her to learn a lot. Of course I want, the Silver Wolf King said seriously. Then let's begin. Lung Ruoxue initiated attacking. Her sword flashed as she charged forward. Her sword technique was called Meteor Sword Technique, a technique that was part of the heaven-defying art. This sword technique was known for the sword beams that would shoot out from all directions like shooting stars, making it difficult to defend against. Whether it was single or group combat, the strike to the enemy would be fatal. And if she infused her spiritual power into the sword, it would absolutely be a finishing blow. Chapter 27. My life is yours from now on. The Silver Wolf was of the wind attribute, extremely fast, and rich in combat experience. They were at a stalemate after dozens of rounds of fighting, and no one could overpower the other. After a while, the beast and human stopped their showdown. Tai, Lung Ruoxue said. You won, the Silver Wolf King said. The woman and beast spoke almost simultaneously, but the Silver Wolf King knew that he had actually lost, because Lung Ruoxue had not infused spiritual power into her sword moves. If she had infused spiritual power, he would have been seriously injured even if he did not die. Wow, beloved master, you are great! The transformed darling rushed into Lung Ruoxue's arms and kissed the beautiful face of his favorite master, taking advantage of her in the meantime. Lung Ruoxue glanced at Darling and touched his head. She was now a bit accustomed to Darling taking advantage of her. Master, there are sounds of fighting in front. Charm reminded her. Where? Lung Ruoxua had been staying in the Silver Wolf tribe's territory for quite some time, but she had gathered almost all the herbs she could in the Silver Wolf tribe's territory, so she planned to go farther today. It doesn't sound too far away. Shall we take a look? Charm asked. Let's go, Lung Ruoxua said. She could learn from watching others' battles sometimes. What a huge snake! Before getting close, Lung Ruoxua saw a dull yellow snake about 100 meters long and 10 meters thick. Is this an earth python? The earth python was an earth attribute spirit beast that was good at defense and had very tough skin. But its meat was very tender. It was a rare delicacy. This earth python was a level 3 holy beast, and its strength was around that of an intermediate spiritual sovereign. Its thick skin coupled with its defenses would give even a level 9 holy beast a tough time when facing it. Lung Ruoxua slowly approached and saw the situation in front of her clearly. The thick body of the earth python was curling around a man. Although the man was already entangled by the earth python and was almost choking to death, the short sword in his hand still kept piercing the earth python's body. It was obvious that the man was persevering with sheer willpower. If he wasn't strong enough, he would have become the python's food. Not far away from them, there was a black leopard covered in blood and wounds. It was a shadow leopard, a level 9 spirit beast. It had the attributes of darkness and wind, which was very rare, allowing it to be good at stealth and be fast. It was obviously about to perish, but still jumped onto the python to attack it with its sharp claws. But such attacks were just like tickles to the python. It was clearly a one-sided battle. Shadow, quickly run away. Leave me, shouted the man, who was about to be suffocated by the earth python. Master, I won't go. I have to save you, that black leopard named Shadow said stubbornly. Lung Ruoxua looked at the interaction between them, and she couldn't help feeling a little moved. She might have been born cold-blooded. She was not a saint, nor did she want to be a saint. She wasn't meddlesome and hated trouble, especially in this dangerous forest where there were deaths every day. Since you were taking risks, you had to be prepared for death. Furthermore, the law of nature was the law of the jungle. Therefore, she did not intend to save them at first, but now she wanted to save them. It was undeniable that it was the strong bond between the master and the beast that had moved her. She herself was someone who loved spirit beasts, so for the sake of the strong bond between them, she couldn't watch them die in front of her. Thinking of this, Lung Ruoxua shot powerful fire attribute spiritual power at the earth python like a bolt of lightning, directly hitting its vital spot and killing it with a single blow. After she cultivated the heaven-defying art, the effects of her heavenly spiritual skills had increased several times. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to kill the earth python, which was known for its defense, in one attack just now. Shadow, wake up. Don't leave me. The man, who just escaped from the python, knelt on the ground and hugged the unconscious black leopard while weeping bitterly. Lung Ruoxua sighed. All right, I will do good to the end. She took out a pill and stuffed it into the black leopard's mouth. It did not take long for the unconscious and wounded black leopard to wake up. Master! The black panther looked at its master, who was already safe, and licked his face happily. Shadow, you're all right. Great. The man looked at Shadow excitedly. Although there were bloodstains on its body, its injuries were all healed. At this moment, he remembered he hadn't thanked their savior yet, and felt that he was being a little rude. Thank you for saving me and Shadow. My life is yours from now on. The man raised his head to see his savior. He was stunned into a trance momentarily, thinking that a beautiful and noble goddess had saved him. But he quickly returned to his senses and looked seriously at the beautiful woman in front of him, unable to look away. What would I want your life for? Lung Ruoxua said indifferently, her beautiful eyes looking at the man in front of her. He was very young, at most in his early 20s, with good features, resolute and clean-cut. Although he was not very handsome, he was very masculine, and his temperament was outstanding. His cultivation level was not very high, and only at great spiritualist. I can do anything as long as you ask me to, that man said resolutely. Really? Even if I ask you to murder, set fires, rob houses, and other things against your conscience? Lung Ruoxua deliberately asked. She could see that this man was a firm and upright person. This person could become a trustworthy partner who would not betray her. However, she wanted to know how far he would go, and whether or not he was qualified to be her partner. She did not want someone pedantic, who was not pragmatic and flexible to be her partner. Yes, I will do anything you ask of me even if it goes against my conscience. He had almost died once, and was only alive now thanks to her life-saving grace. Not only did she save him, but she also saved his best partner, so he had to repay this favor. What is your name? Lung Ruoxua asked. Feng Moran. My partner must be trustworthy, will never betray me, and can fight side by side with me. Lung Ruoxua explained, knowing his concerns. Partners were more important than friends. Partners and subordinates had to be loyal, but partners were different from subordinates. The relationship between partners was equal. They had to respect each other, trust each other, and never betray each other. You don't know me, Feng Moran said. It's enough for me that you stuck by your spirit beast. Shadow is my most important family and my only friend, Feng Moran said as he caressed Shadow's black fur. I am willing to be your partner, and I will never betray you. Feng Moran had thought it through. What's there not to be confident about since she doesn't dislike my low level and poor strength? Besides, I may be weak now, but it doesn't mean that I will never be able to break through. I can't change my aptitude, but I can work several times, or even dozens of times harder than others. I believe that I will become a powerhouse one day. Okay, then from now on you are my partner. Lung Ruoxua took out a pill and motioned for him to take it to heal his injuries first. His injuries might not be serious, but he shouldn't continue bleeding like this. My injuries aren't serious, so I don't need such a precious pill. He knew the value of pills, especially in this dangerous forest. Even the most common pill was very precious. I'm an alchemist. I have plenty of them. Feng Moran was speechless. She possessed such strength, and she was even an alchemist. How could others live with someone like her around? But after hearing that she was an alchemist, Feng Moran did not decline. He took the pill and put it in his mouth, and his injuries healed instantly. I'm going to change my clothes. Feng Moran looked at his tattered and bloody clothes, a little embarrassed. Change later. It's getting dark, so let's leave this place first. Lung Ruoxua said. Of course, she did not forget to put away her spoils before leaving. But the smell of blood on my body will attract other spirit beasts. Feng Moran was somewhat concerned. Just as well. I can use them as opponents, Lung Ruoxua said lightly. Schwer, where are we going? Feng Moran looked at Lung Ruoxua and asked after they walked for a while. The Silver Wolf tribe's territory. It's too dangerous. Let's go somewhere else. Feng Moran advised. Silver wolves were too fierce and difficult to deal with, so no one dared to provoke them. Dangerous? I've been staying there for a while. Lung Ruoxua looked at him innocently. Just as they were talking, a silvery white little wolf ran out from nowhere. Big sister, Feng Feng missed you so much. Feng Moran looked at the silvery white little wolf in a daze. He was rubbing Lung Ruoxua's calf with pride, and kept calling her big sister. Is this a silver wolf cub? He knew that silver wolves were very protective of their children. So many people said that it was better to provoke an adult silver wolf than to provoke their children, because the revenge of silver wolves was really too terrifying. But this little wolf obviously knew Schwer, which made him a little dumbfounded. Chapter 29, Partner 2. You're being naughty again. Lung Ruoxua said helplessly, while holding up the little wolf. This little fellow was very naughty, not allowing others to be worry-free. He is Yinfeng, the child of the Silver Wolf King, Lung Ruoxua explained. She was the one who gave the little wolf his name. No wonder Schwer dares to camp in the Silver Wolf tribe's territory. Alas, I shouldn't compare myself to her. Apart from her, no dares to live there. Feng Moran couldn't help sighing. Big sister, who is he? Little Silver Wolf Feng's beautiful silver eyes looked at Feng Moran curiously. He is Big Sister's new partner. Feng can call him Big Brother, Lung Ruoxua coaxed. This little silver wolf was a very cute and likable little fellow. Big Brother, Feng called out obediently. Good. Feng Moran stretched out his hand and gently caressed the cute little silver wolf's head. However, he couldn't believe it. An uncontracted spirit beast actually addressed him as Big Brother. It was all very surreal and bizarre. Probably no one else other than Schwer had such an experience. Big sister, what delicious food will you make for Feng Feng today? Feng Feng asked curiously, while looking at Lung Ruoxue with his bright silver eyes. You'll know later, Lung Ruoxue said. What a glutton! They walked for a while, and came to Lung Ruoxue's camp. Feng Moran rubbed his eyes as he looked at the silver wolves lying around the tent, dumbfounded. They were indeed silver wolves, and not just one but a whole group. He counted 36 of them, and they were not silver wolf cubs, but all adult silver wolves. Schwer they. Feng Moran looked at the surrounding silver wolves and felt his hair stand on end. No problem. They're my friends. Lung Ruoxue calmed him. Oh! Hearing Schwer's words, he felt slightly relieved, but he was still a little nervous. Big brother Feng, go and change your clothes, Lung Ruoxue reminded him, who was still wearing bloody clothes when they arrived at the camp. Okay. Feng Moran turned and walked into the tent to change clothes. Lung Ruoxue took out the big snake from her storage ring and threw it on the ground. Then she let her beasts out and asked them to help clean it so that they could eat snake meat tonight. The beasts nearly drooled when they heard this. Snake meat was very delicious. Moreover, it was a holy beast, which was not something that anyone had the chance to eat. Lung Ruoxue turned her head to look at the sluggish silver wolves. Go and help clean it, or there will be no food for a while. The earth python was so huge, so how could her beasts manage to clean it by themselves? Master here. Charm took off the earth python's skin intact, and handed it to Lung Ruoxue. Beloved master, in this. Darling held a fist-sized yellowish-brown crystal in his little paw, and handed it to Lung Ruoxue flatteringly. Lung Ruoxue stored the earth python skin, and then raised the crystal in her hand. The crystal was very clear, and contained very abundant earth attribute spiritual power. She knew that this was the spirit crystal of a spirit beast, and spirit crystals were the source of the spiritual power of spirit beasts. The spiritual power of spirit beasts was stored in spirit crystals, and spirit beasts could directly absorb the spiritual power inside. However, relatively speaking, the effect of direct absorption by spirit beasts was better than that of humans. Humans usually use spirit crystals to gather spiritual power. A perfect holy beast-level spirit crystal, like this, was absolutely valuable. After changing his clothes, Feng Moran emerged, and saw the huge earth python lying on the ground. The silver wolves were using wind blades to cut the flesh of the earth python into pieces, while Schwer was making a fire. Schwer, are you planning to eat this earth python? Feng Moran asked, slightly surprised. Yes. Schwer, do you know the value of this earth python? He guessed that she might not know the preciousness of this holy beast. I heard the earth python meat is very delicious, so I want to try it, Lung Ruoxue replied. Well, it's delicious, but it's also very expensive. Like this big one, it can sell for hundreds of thousands of amethyst crystals, Feng Moran explained. He had only eaten earth python once when he was very young. Although it was merely a small piece, the deliciousness was unforgettable for life. Moreover, that was only an advanced spirit beast. The meat of this holy beast earth python would definitely be more delicious. Lung Ruoxue did not expect this earth python to be so valuable. The main currency of this world were gold coins and amethyst crystals. One amethyst crystal was equal to 1,000 gold coins, and 1,000 gold coins was enough for ordinary people to live for a year. A small piece of earth python meat would probably be enough for ordinary people to live for several years, but she did not intend to sell it even if it was valuable. If it was really delicious, she had to save some for her grandfather and big brother. She had been out for several months, and was starting to feel a little homesick. All the more so that I have to taste it to see if it's really that valuable, Lung Ruoxue answered. Alright then, I'll help you, Feng Moran said. In fact, he really wanted to taste it as well. It was extremely rare to be able to eat the meat of a holy beast. Feng Moran took a piece of meat the size of a basin and pierced it with a branch. He released a water ball to clean it, and then put it above the fire for grilling. Just after grilling it for a bit, a delicious smell wafted through the air. It smells so good. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help exclaiming. She was really looking forward to it since it smelled so good before adding any seasoning. She also picked up a piece of meat and started grilling it. The surrounding beasts were all drooling as they lay down around them both obediently. The smell of the grilled meat floated far away, attracting many spirit beasts. But no spirit beast dared to come forward and just stared from afar. Did your entire tribe come? Lung Ruashua asked speechlessly, while looking at the large group of silver wolves. There were thousands of silver wolves. She would be exhausted just from grilling meat. The silver wolf king looked at Lung Ruashua with some embarrassment and feeling wronged. He did not ask them to come. They were attracted by the smell of the grilled meat. It was not his fault. Feng Moran looked dumbfounded at the silver wolves that suddenly appeared, and the meat in his hands almost fell to the ground. This is too exaggerated. Tell your tribe that each wolf can only get a small piece of raw meat. Lung Ruashua said to the silver wolf king after thinking about it. She couldn't cook for them all, but she could still give them some raw meat. After all, she had lived in the silver wolf tribe's territory for so long, and she had formed a good relationship with these silver wolves. Chapter 30. Another freeloader, thank you. The silver wolf king said with gratitude. Although raw meat wasn't as delicious as cooked meat, it was the flesh of a holy beast, so it would definitely be nourishing for his subordinates. Lung Ruashua used wind blades to slice the earth python meat into small pieces that each weighed around a kilogram. Then she allowed the silver wolves to come forward one by one to receive the meat. After receiving the meat, every wolf would thank her, and then leave with their food. After all the silver wolves finished receiving the raw meat and left, Lung Ruashua looked at the remaining earth python meat. Fortunately, the snake was big enough. After giving out so much, there's still more than half left. She counted the number of silver wolves still around. These silver wolves were closer to her because they were her training partners, so of course she couldn't just give them raw meat. She left enough meat to eat, and then put away the rest. She, Charm, and Feng Moran busily grilled for almost 2 hours before cooking all the meat. After the wolves received their portion, they would find their favorite spot and begin eating. As for the Silver Wolf King's family, they sat around Lung Ruashua with her beasts and had a sumptuous feast. What seasoning is this? It's really fragrant. Feng Moran couldn't help asking as he ate. It was spicy, numbing, and very flavorful. Chili, pepper, and cumin, Lung Ruashua said. She found cumin just recently. I've heard of chili, but it's too spicy. No one eats it. I'm not too sure what pepper and cumin are, Feng Moran said in puzzlement. Lung Ruashua showed him a few grains of pepper and cumin. They're so small but taste so good. Amazing. Feng Moran was surprised. The meat smells so good. May I have a piece? A pleasant male voice suddenly sounded. Yet another freeloader. This was Lung Ruaksha's only thought after hearing these words. When she looked at the source of the voice, and saw a man of noble temperament and extraordinary bearing. His delicate facial features were so beautiful that it was capable of causing the downfall of a nation. His alluring pupils were as black as ink and could capture the souls of others, and his silky smooth fair skin would make any woman jealous. He was truly a freakishly enchanting man of unparalleled beauty. Beauty capable of causing the downfall of a nation was usually used to describe women, but Lung Ruashua couldn't find a better description for him. If her big brother was an untainted immortal, and Charm was a pure and charming fairy, then this man was a peerless freak beyond this world. He was the best-looking man she had ever seen. Although she wasn't one to lose herself in beauty, in the face of such beauty, she couldn't help but glance at him more. Which family is he from? They should take him back quickly. This kind of freakish beauty shouldn't be allowed out. Lung Ruashua couldn't help quipping. When may I? The stunningly beautiful man looked at her pitifully, tears faintly glimmering in his black eyes. Lung Ruashua was at a loss for words. Please, please, please don't look at me like that, okay? It's not like I've bullied you. His eyes didn't have such a pitiful look a moment ago. Why do I always meet manipulative guys who like to pretend to be pitiful? One Lung Ruashua helplessly gave them 2 pieces of meat, while finally glancing over at the other man. He was also handsome but overshadowed by the freak. Thank you. I'm Yi Chun. What's your name? Asked the freakishly beautiful man, Yi Chun, as he stared at Lung Ruoxue with his shiny black eyes. Yichen. Sounds familiar. I think I've heard of the name somewhere before. Lung Ruoxue. And he is my partner Feng Moran. What a coincidence. My fiancé is also named Lung Ruoxue. Yichen the freak smiled charmingly from ear to ear. She was speechless. No wonder his name is so familiar. This is the name of the fiancé tossed to the back of my mind. Isn't he supposed to be weak and sickly? He doesn't look weak and sickly. Stop smiling. Lung Ruoxue was somewhat annoyed. Don't you know that you're already too freakishly good-looking? Smiling so charmingly and attractively. Do you want to make me commit a crime? Upon hearing this, the freak Yichen smiled even brighter. The smile was so alluring that even the sky looked dull in comparison. Lung Ruoxue glared at the freak fiercely, and then turned away to focus on eating the grilled snake meat in her hands. Schwer. I will call you Schwer. Yichen said. Lung Ruoxue ignored him and continued eating. Yichen ate while scrutinizing Lung Ruoxue openly. His stare made her uncomfortable all over, so she simply went to a corner to eat. For some reason, the man made her feel danger, and she couldn't be at ease. After finishing her food, Lung Ruoxue said she was going to rest, and went straight into her tent. The next morning, when she emerged from the tent, she saw Feng Moran preparing breakfast, but not the two uninvited men from yesterday. You're awake. Lung Ruoxue turned around when she heard the voice. She saw the freak standing behind her, holding 2 fish. Didn't you leave? Lung Ruoxue accidentally revealed her thoughts. Do you want me gone so badly? You're my fiancé. Since we've met, of course we should stay together, so that we can take care of each other. Yichen said as if it was obvious. I'm not your fiancé. Lung Ruoxue didn't want to accept him. She trusted her instincts. This man was dangerous and she should keep away. My fiancé's name is Lung Ruoxue. Since your name is Lung Ruoxue, then you are fiancé. Yichen said earnestly. What kind of logic is that? She was going crazy. Besides, shouldn't you protect me? This forest is so dangerous. How can you leave a weak man like me to fend for myself? What if I come across a female pervert? My innocence is reserved for my fiancé, so you have the duty to protect me. Yichen said boldly and justifiably, as if he didn't feel that there was anything wrong with what he said. His companion Muli walked away upon hearing this, his whole face screaming that he had no idea who Yichen was. Chapter 31. Manipulative fiancé. Upon hearing what Yichen said, Lung Ruoxue was stunned. Is this something a man should say? Protect this freak from female perverts? If you're so scared, why are you going out and wandering around? Although she couldn't see this freak's strength, his companion was an advanced spiritual sovereign. I also need protection, so... Lung Ruoxue actually wanted to say that she couldn't protect him, but before she could finish, he interrupted her. That's even better. I'll protect you, and you'll protect me. We'll protect each other. Yichen smiled brightly. Lung Ruoxue felt helpless. She could tell that the man was planning to rely on her. Schwer, I've prepared breakfast, Feng Moran said. Okay. Lung Ruoxue decided not to intertwine over the matter. If he wants to rely on me, there's nothing much I can do. I'll just enjoy breakfast first. After breakfast, Lung Ruoxue gave Feng Moran a pill. Big brother Feng, go and break through. Is this a spiritual essence pill? Feng Moran looked at the pill in Schwer's hand in astonishment. He knew that she was an alchemist, but he didn't expect her to be able to concoct spiritual essence pills. Doesn't this mean she's already a master alchemist? Although master alchemists were not top tier, they were highly sought after by major forces. Yes. After you advance, leave here, Lung Ruoxue said. She had stayed here for a while, and almost finished picking all the herbs, so it was time for her to move on. With a grateful look, Feng Moran took the pill from Schwer and entered his tent. After seeing him enter his tent, Lung Ruoxue set up a barrier around it to prevent him from being disturbed. Schwer, let's have grilled fish for lunch. Yichen didn't want to be ignored and pestered her. We just had breakfast, Lung Ruoxue said. Another glutton. Let's prepare first. Yichen looked at the stunning beauty pitifully. Then go and prepare. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Hearing her words, He took off to prepare for lunch happily. 2 hours later, Lung Ruoxua sensed more and more spiritual energy flowing toward Feng Moran's tent, and knew that he was about to break through. Seems like the spiritual essence pill is effective. An hour later, as the heaven and earth laws faded away, Feng Moran emerged from his tent, looking refreshed and elated. Sure, thank you. Feng Moran's eyes glittered like stars as he looked at Lung Ruoxua with gratitude. Although he was the eldest son of the main branch of the Feng family, he was not qualified to take a spiritual essence pill due to his lacking aptitude in such a top-notch family with abundant talents. He didn't expect to meet Shuer and change his fate. I, Feng Moran, am willing to follow Lung Ruoxua all my life and will never betray her. Feng Moran suddenly declared solemnly. With that, a contract array descended, covering them in it. Follower contract. Big brother Feng Yu. Lung Ruoxua didn't know what to say. She just looked at Feng Moran slightly reproachfully. She knew that he wanted to thank her, but he didn't have to use this method. The follower contract was one of the severest contracts between people on the Lingfeng continent. The follower in the contract had to be forever loyal, and betrayal was impermissible regardless of thought or action. Otherwise, the follower would be obliterated by heaven and earth laws. Big brother Feng, go wash up and change your clothes. Seeing that things had already unfolded like this, Lung Ruoxua knew that it was meaningless to say anything else. But she knew that she couldn't only treat Feng Moran as a partner anymore, but also as a family member. Feng Moran looked down and realized that a grayish-black substance giving off a peculiar smell was covering his body. He blushed and hurried to the nearby river to wash up. It seems that adding jade elixir to spiritual essence pills has the effect of remolding the body. Jade elixir was a spiritual liquid produced by heaven and earth, and it had the effect of remolding your body and changing your physique. Of course, Qingju had told her this, because there was a jade elixir spring in the heaven and earth bracelet that had been producing it for hundreds of millions of years. It was the milky white fluid that exuded an exotic fragrance. As for additional effects, even Qingju didn't know. Although she had concocted a lot of spiritual essence pills with jade elixir added, she had left most of them with her grandfather, so she didn't know exactly what had changed with the new spiritual essence pills. However, she knew that the effect was definitely better than the original. Is this me? After washing, Feng Moran looked in disbelief at his smooth and supple skin. Hey, why are you in a daze there? Darling, who came to look for him, yelled impatiently. Isn't it just slightly fairer skin and a better complexion? Why are you overreacting? If you follow my beloved master, things like these will happen all the time. Your ability to bear surprises is too bad. You have to work on it. Darling taught him. Hurry up and go back to pack up. We're leaving in the afternoon, Darling urged. Okay, Feng Moran replied. Seems like I really have to work on my ability to bear surprises. Woo woo woo. Big sister, Feng Feng doesn't want you to go. The little silver wolf cried in Lung Ruoxua's arms, his beautiful fur wet with tears. Feng Feng, you have to be obedient and don't be naughty, okay? Lung Ruoxua coaxed him. She was also reluctant to part with this little guy, but she could not bring him along. After all, he still had a family and an entire tribe. Lung Ruoxua passed the little wolf back to the Silver Wolf King and handed him a bottle of green spirit pills. Thank you. The Silver Wolf King knew that this human was an alchemist, so he did not decline. After accepting the pills, he gave her a white fong. Lung Ruoxua looked at the fong in puzzlement. It was roughly the size of an adult's palm, translucent and milky white, and slightly warm to the touch like jade. This is the token of us wolves. Having it with you, you will be regarded as the most honorable guest of the wolves in any forest, the Silver Wolf King explained. Chapter 32. I want to marry you, thank you, Lung Ruoxua said. The wolf race was the biggest spirit beast race in the forests. Having the friendship of the wolves would definitely be very helpful for their training in the forests. After bidding farewell to these lovable silver wolves, Lung Ruoxua and the others left their territory under the reluctant gazes of the wolves. Shuer here. Eat this. Yichen passed her a grilled fish. They had left the Silver Wolf tribe's territory for a few days, but her spirits were still down, so he was worried about her. He really wanted to go and capture some silver wolves to contract them with her. Thank you. Lung Ruoxua accepted the fish and took a bite. Suddenly, a piercing wolf's howl resounded. What was that? Lung Ruoxua asked Charm, who was lying on her shoulder. A signal for the wolves to gather, Charm explained. Humans might not understand the howls of spirit beasts, but other spirit beasts could. Oh. Just as Lung Ruoxua was about to continue asking, a mercenary team of roughly a dozen people approached them. Greetings, everyone. It's getting late, and we can't find a suitable place to camp. Can we share this place with you? A man in his 40s asked politely. He should be the leader of this team. If I said no, would you leave? Yichen said with a faint smile. They look calm on the surface, but there's a panic in their eyes. They must have gotten into some trouble. Wanting to share the camp is fake. Their real intention is to drag us into it, and have us fight for them if anything goes wrong. We won't be taken advantage of so easily. Moreover, trouble that an intermediate spiritual sovereign can't solve is definitely big trouble. Us choosing this place to camp is your good fortune. Stop being ungrateful, and making a fuss, and make some room for us. A snobbish and arrogant female voice sounded. Shut up, the middle-aged man yelled. He had had enough. Third uncle, the snobbish young lady said in dissatisfaction. We really can't find a better spot to camp. Please help us. We will never forget your kindness. The middle-aged man said courteously and smiled friendly. We are from the Sioux family. It is your honor to have us stay here for the night. The snobbish young lady couldn't help interjecting again. The Sioux family of the 5 great families. Lung Ruoxua finally spoke. Of course we are. Let me tell you, it's your honor that we're willing to stay at your shabby little place. The young lady said arrogantly. Yes, we should be honored. Are you related to Sunair? Lung Ruoxua asked lightly. She's my elder sister. Why? Do you know her? No, but I've heard her name. Oh, of course. My sister is second on the Lingfeng Continent Beauty Rankings, and many people know her. The young lady said arrogantly, as if she herself was second. All right, let them stay. Lung Ruoxua looked at Yi Chun, and then went back into her tent. You can stay, but don't stay too close to us, Yi Chun said coldly. The Sioux family. Thank you. The middle-aged man thanked them, and then organized his group to set up camp. The snobbish young lady didn't have anyone around her now, and she looked around curiously. Liner, don't wander around, the middle-aged man warned. I know, Sue Liner said impatiently, but her eyes kept looking around. What's so good about this place? Why does third uncle insist on camping here? Suddenly, Sue Liner's gaze stopped, and she couldn't move her eyes away. What a beautiful man. Although he's standing in a dark corner, his brilliance can't be covered. He was the best-looking man she had ever seen, and her heart was racing. It was as though only she could see this peerlessly beautiful man in the world. I want to marry you. With starry-eyed infatuation and a love-struck gaze, Su Nair dashed to right in front of Yi Chun. There was even some dubious liquid flowing at the corner of her mouth. Everyone was flabbergasted by what she said. Yi Chun stood there expressionlessly and gazed coldly at the love-struck fool. You're not worthy, Yi Chun said impatiently as the murderous gaze in his eyes fleeted away. Do you know who I am? I am the most pampered second young lady of the Sioux family. I am giving you face by taking a fancy to you. Don't be so ungrateful, or else you will regret it later. Sue Liner screamed hysterically. She finally liked a man, but he unexpectedly didn't appreciate it. Not far away, Muli and Feng Moran watched this ridiculous scene flabbergasted. What is this? Not to mention the two of them. Even the mercenaries who came with Sue Liner felt a little embarrassed. They couldn't understand how she could behave like this in this critical and perilous situation. Liner, stop making a fool of yourself, shouted the middle-aged man, whom Sue Liner called third uncle. Even I can't tell how powerful he is. That's why I choose to camp here brazenly. How will she ever be worthy of him? Shut up. Don't meddle in my affairs. Don't think you're really my third uncle just because I call you that. You are just someone born of a concubine. You don't have any rights to control me. Sue Liner said disdainfully. If her mother didn't tell her to behave before she came out, and that he was a spiritual sovereign, she wouldn't even call him third uncle. But he actually thought that he really was her elder, and he had been ordering her around and criticizing her all along the way, trying to manage everything. She had long been displeased with him. You. The middle-aged man almost fainted from anger. The Su family truly taught you well, worthy of being one of the 5 great families. Lung Ruoxue walked out of her tent when she heard what they said. With the excitement outside, she wanted to join in on the fun. Who are you to say that? Su Liner was agitated when she saw the stunningly beautiful woman capable of causing the downfall of a nation. Although Su Liner knew that she wasn't as attractive as her sister, Su Nair, she was still very confident about her beauty. But this woman was even more beautiful than them. Rather, she was even more beautiful than Shui Xinran, the first beauty of the Lingfeng continent. She was already very upset by the fact that Shui Xinran was more good-looking than them. But now there was an even better-looking one. They couldn't do anything to Shui Xinran, but couldn't she do something about this woman? Chapter 33. It's exactly you that am hitting. Wife, someone wants to snatch your man. You have to protect me. Yi Chen immediately looked at Lung Ruoxue pitifully when he saw her come out of her tent. Lung Ruoxue glanced at him, and then ignored him. After spending a few days together, she had become familiar with his tasteless words and behavior. Wife, Su Liner looked at Lung Ruoxue with even more jealousy. Then she must die. Suddenly, a group of silver wolves approached and surrounded them. The mercenaries, who were petrified ever since seeing Lung Ruoxue, suddenly returned to their senses when they saw the silver wolves. We still couldn't run away. They really hated the arrogant Su family's young lady. They were just mercenaries, and only here for money. But none of them wanted to risk their lives for that little amount of money. Lung Ruoxue looked at the silver wolves in confusion. What are they doing here? The tall silver wolf king emerged from the group. His furry face was elated when he saw Lung Ruoxue. He turned back and barked softly. The wolf queen also emerged while holding a group of bloody flesh in her mouth. She walked to Lung Ruoxue and tearfully lowered the group of badly mutilated flesh in front of her. Lung Ruoxue looked at the barely recognizable group of bloody flesh and was heartbroken. It's little Feng Feng. The others, including Yi Chen, crowded over. Although they hadn't spent much time with the little wolf, all of them really liked the adorable little guy. Everyone felt heartbroken seeing him like this. Lung Ruoxue squatted in front of Feng Feng and checked his breath with her fingers. He was still breathing, but extremely weakly. Without hesitation, she took out a pill and stuffed it into the little wolf's mouth. Then she looked up at the silver wolf king. What happened? Lung Ruoxue asked angrily. It's Thumb. The silver wolf king stared daggers at Su Liner and the group of mercenaries. You did this. Lung Ruoxue looked at them coldly. She had not been so angry ever since coming to this world. Yeah, so what if I did? I liked it and wanted it to be my spirit beast, but it refused. Su Liner said in annoyance. In her mind, she always believed that anything she wanted had to be hers. If she couldn't obtain it, she would rather destroy it than let anyone else get it. She didn't feel that she was at fault at all. The people of the Su family are truly overbearing. Lung Ruoxue said scornfully. What she despised the most were the unreasonable and rampant children of the rich and powerful, who did whatever they wanted just because of their background. Big sister, Feng Feng finally found you. After the little wolf finally woke up and saw Lung Ruoxue, he rubbed his soft fluffy body against her calf, being affectionate. Little Feng Feng, tell big sister how she hurt you. Lung Ruoxue hugged the little wolf. She wanted Feng Feng to be her spirit beast, but I don't like her and refused. So she hit Feng Feng with a long black thing. The little wolf said fearfully. Lung Ruoxue looked at the silver wolf king doubtfully. Shouldn't he have sent some adult wolves to protect his son? How did someone hurt him? Seemingly knowing what was on her mind, the silver wolf king explained helplessly. He got rid of the wolves protecting him and ran off by himself. Didn't big sister tell you to be obedient before leaving? Why were you so naughty? Lung Ruoxue asked unhappily. Feng Feng missed big sister and wanted to find big sister. The little wolf said aggrievedly with tears welling up in his silver eyes. After hearing this, Lung Ruoxue was unwilling to blame him. Instead, she moved her gaze to Su Liner. Black. Is it that whip? Seeing the black whip coiled around Sue Liner's waist, she dashed forward and grabbed the whip. Give it back to me. Sue Liner screamed furiously as she bolted at Lung Ruoxua. It was her favorite weapon. Lung Ruoxua gently raised her hand, and a stream of fire attribute spiritual energy instantly blasted Sue Liner away. How dare you? The Sue family won't let you go. After being knocked to the ground, Sue Liner shrieked hysterically, despite her disheveled appearance. Obviously, she hadn't understood the situation yet, and didn't know her life was in someone else's hands. Lung Ruoxua did not bother to look at her again, and instead raised the whip to scrutinize it. It was an advanced treasured artifact. The whip was entirely black and full of barbs, and it was probably made from the tendons of a spirit beast. Although treasured artifacts were the lowest grade of armaments, the barbs on the whip were deadly enough to kill spirit beast cubs. Little Fong Fong, did this woman hit you with this? Lung Ruoxua asked. Yes. The little wolf nodded in fear. Upon hearing this, Lung Ruoxua raised her hand and whipped Sue Liner. Aha! How dare you hit me? I won't let you off. I'm going to kill you. Sue Liner rolled on the ground in pain, but she still kept shouting threats. It's exactly you that I'm hitting. Pa! Pa! The whip left strips of bloodstains on Sue Liner's body with each strike. Aha! Third uncle, save me. Sue Liner screamed in pain. The middle-aged man looked at Sue Liner in exasperation. Humph. Now you think him your third uncle. However, it was not that he didn't want to save her, but that he couldn't. He couldn't move at all now. Miss, if you treat someone from the Sue family like this, the Sue family won't forgive you, the middle-aged man said, implying that the Sue family would never let her off. This miss hates being threatened the most, Lung Ruoxua said indifferently and whipped harder. Consort, I'll leave them to you, Lung Ruoxua said to the Silver Wolf King. If not for her, the Silver Wolves would have already torn them into pieces. The Silver Wolf King nodded, and the wolves gradually closed in on these humans. Sue Liner, covered in wounds, the middle-aged man, and the dozen or so mercenaries looked at the thousands of silver wolves surrounding them and were terrified. However, they knew that there was no escape from the vengeance of the silver wolves. The wolves swarmed around them, each of them bearing their sharp fangs menacingly. Chapter 34. Blazing Flame Mercenary Group. You can't do this to me. I'm the most favored second young lady of the Sue family. Sue Liner yelled, but her voice became weaker and weaker, until nothing could be heard anymore. One after they got rid of Sue Liner and her third uncle, their eyes turned to the dozen or so mercenaries. Captain, what should we do? A mercenary stammered. Wait for death, the captain said sadly. They would not be able to run away. Even if they escaped by chance, returning to their mercenary group would be a dead end. The Sue family would not let them go, and it was impossible for the group to become enemies with the Sue family for them. Moreover, for mercenaries who had dead employers but returned alive, no one would dare to hire them again since they would be labeled as greedy for life and fearful of death. Wait, the Silver Wolf King heard Lung Ruoxua's voice, just as he was about to give an order. He turned his head in confusion and looked at her. Consort, they're just mercenaries. If they didn't take part in injuring little Fong Fong, let them go. Lung Ruoxua suddenly said. She had been observing for a while now. Although the dozen or so mercenaries were scared, none of them begged for mercy. They were true men. The Silver Wolf King looked at the mercenaries, then at Lung Ruoxua and nodded. He motioned the silver wolves to make way and let them go. TV's silver wolves don't intend to kill us anymore. The mercenaries had lingering fears as they looked at each other in disbelief, and some couldn't believe that it was true. Seeing them still standing there stupidly, Lung Ruoxua reminded them, quickly leave. The captain looked at the stunning beauty, struggling in his heart, and then knelt down on one knee. I, Fongda, would like to acknowledge Miss as my master. I will always be loyal to you and never betray you. Why? Lung Ruoxua asked. She didn't want to find trouble for herself. If the employers of mercenaries die, even if they return to their mercenary group, they will be regarded as people who are fearful of death. Our employer is the Sue family, and they will not let us go. Even if we don't die in the mouths of the silver wolves now, We won't be able to survive for long after returning to the group. I don't want to die. I'm willing to do anything for Miss to repay you for this great favor. The man named Feng De said sincerely. He knew that if he only said something along the lines of repaying her with gratitude, this young lady would definitely not agree. Therefore, he would rather tell the truth, hoping that this young lady would consider him sincere enough and take in him and his brothers. After hearing what their captain said, the other mercenaries also reacted the same way, saying they wanted to acknowledge her as their master and would always be loyal to her. Schwer, you are so amazing. You are about to undermine the second largest mercenary group, the Anaconda mercenary group, Yi Chen said with a chuckle after looking at the emblem on their chests. Do you want to harm me? If I really take you in, wouldn't I become enemies with the Anaconda mercenary group? Lung Ruoxue pretended to be displeased. Mercenary groups were divided into 6 ranks. A, B, C, D, E, and F. Rank was the highest and F rank was the lowest. The Anaconda mercenary group was the highest rank, and also one of the 3 major mercenary groups on the Lingfeng continent. Don't worry, Mississippi. We will never implicate you. Although the Anaconda mercenary group is the second largest mercenary group, they would not dare to offend the Su family. If they know that our employer is dead, they will definitely abandon us. We can follow Miss forever, Feng De explained. But if the Su family, one of the 5 great families, knows that you are following me, I'm afraid they will get rid of me together with you, right? Lung Ruoxue said worriedly. Hearing what she said, the mercenaries headed by Feng De were stunned because they knew that she was right. They would indeed become a burden and implicate this young lady. Miss is right. I did not think it through, Feng De said, somewhat embarrassed. He originally thought that she had to be a member of one of the top families on par with the Su family, since she could become friends with these silver wolves, and her appearance and temperament were so outstanding. Their lives could be saved this way. But he didn't expect Sai. I was thinking too simply. Lung Ruoxue looked at this man named Feng De. He was about 30 years old, tall, had good features, and was at intermediate spiritual monarch. Just now, when he said that he wanted to acknowledge her as his master, he only mentioned himself and not his subordinates, because he had made the decision relatively hastily and had not discussed it with them. Then he explained the reason he wanted to acknowledge her as his master very sincerely. It was not just for her, but also to remind his subordinates. Now, after listening to her, he was also aware of the mistakes in his thinking. Yes, this is a smart, loyal, and responsible man. She was very satisfied. I can take you all in, Lung Ruoxue said. They had passed her test. Feng De and the others were stunned again. Did we hear it right? But the Su family? I don't care about the Su family, Lung Ruoxue said coldly. She would be enemies with the Su family sooner or later, so it was better to prepare early. One Feng De and the others looked at each other happily, and then knelt on one knee very neatly. May I ask your name, miss? Feng De asked. Lung Ruoxue. I, Feng De, Lin Yuan, would like to acknowledge Lung Ruoxue as our master. We will always be loyal, and will never betray you. More than a dozen people swore in unison after they said their names one by one. The contract array descended on everything, and the contract was established. 3. Get up. Don't kneel so casually in the future. Lung Ruoxue looked at the 15 people. She had not thought of asking them to swear allegiance, but she would not refuse. Moreover, the contract just now was just a contract of loyalty, and not as overbearing as the follower contract. As long as they did not betray her, it would have any effect on them. Schwer, since we've accepted them, why don't we set up a mercenary group for fun too? Yi Chen said from the side, obviously bored. Feng De and the others heard the words of the man, who was as beautiful as a heavenly being, and were dumbfounded. Set up a mercenary group for fun? Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. She was also thinking this. What should we name it? How about the Blazing Flame Mercenary Group? Lung Ruoxue said after thinking. In this way, the Blazing Flame Mercenary Group, known as the Forever F rank that caused a huge stir and inspired awe across the Lingfeng continent in the future, was quietly established. 5. Chapter 35. You are a monster. 1. Blazing Flame Mercenary Group. This name isn't bad. Swear, you have to give me a good position. Yi Chen said. It'll make you the leader, Lung Ruoxue said. She intended to be an arm, flinging Shopkeeper 1. You should be the leader since they are your subordinates. I can just be a deputy leader, Yi Chen said. How can I not know what's going through Swear's mind? I definitely won't give her the chance to be lazy. Yes, Swear. You should be the leader, Feng Moran echoed. Yes, Mississippi. You should be the leader of our mercenary group. The 15 mercenaries also repeated. See, this is what everyone wants, Yi Chen said with some pride. Well, all right then, Lung Ruoxue said reluctantly. She looked at these 15 people carefully. Except for Feng De, who was a spiritual monarch, the rest were actually great spiritualists. Such a group of spiritualists was truly luxurious for an ordinary mercenary group. Probably only the 3 major mercenary groups would be able to have such a lineup. Big Brother Feng, please share this with them. Lung Ruoxue took out a bottle of spiritual essence pills and handed it to Feng Moran. These people might be good in the eyes of others, but in her opinion their strength was still too low. Okay. Feng Moran took the pills and handed everyone one except Feng De. These are spiritual essence pills? Feng De's eyes widened in disbelief. He had seen a spiritual essence pill once in the mercenary group. It was very similar to these but wasn't the same. After hearing what he said, the other 14 were all startled. Are these really spiritual essence pills? If they were not orphans, they came from ordinary commoner families. Spiritual essence pills had sky-high prices, so they naturally wouldn't have seen them before. Prepare to advance after taking the pills, Feng Moran said with a smile. After hearing what he said, they quickly put the pills in their mouths, and then directly sat cross-legged on the ground, not daring to delay for a single moment. Lung Ruoxue watched as Feng De looked at his subordinate's advancement with envy, and threw him a red fruit. Eat it. One thank you, miss, Feng De said gratefully. Even if he didn't recognize the fruit, he could feel the very rich spiritual energy coming from it, and knew that it was definitely something good. He carefully held the fruit, found an open spot to sit down, and then consumed it. On behalf of my Silver Wolf tribe, I have decided to acknowledge you as our master, the Silver Wolf King, who had been silent, suddenly said. The reason why he had been silent just now was that he was discussing this with his tribe. He decided to acknowledge her as his master for the sake of his son, but he didn't want to force the other Silver Wolves. After discussing it with them, he didn't expect the proposal to pass unanimously. One big sister, Feng Feng wants to be together with big sister, the little wolf said happily. Okay, Lung Ruoxue coaxed. But her gaze was on the Silver Wolf King. She knew that silver wolves liked their freedom, so she was surprised that they would make such a decision. You are different from other humans. We believe in you. And Feng Feng doesn't want to leave you. And we don't want to be separated from our own child, the Silver Wolf King explained. Don't worry. You will all be my family from now on, Lung Ruoxue said sincerely. The Silver Wolf King nodded, and then took the initiative to establish the contract with her. Then the Silver Wolf Queen, the little wolf, and all the silver wolves also acknowledged her as their master in turn. Contract arrays flashed for a long time before slowly disappearing. One Feng Moran looked at the huge number of arrays, stunned. This was the first time he has seen a person contract with so many spirit beasts in his life. Moreover, it was the spirit beasts who took the initiative to establish the contracts. It seemed like his ability to bear surprises would indeed improve, as long as he was with Swear. In contrast, Yi Chen and Muli seemed much calmer. One after the silver wolves acknowledged her as their master, Lung Ruoxue let all the silver wolves enter the spirit beast space, while she brought the Silver Wolf King and his family directly into the Heaven and Earth bracelet. After she finished settling the silver wolves, the mercenaries began to advance one after another. After most of them advanced, Lung Ruoxue spoke to Yi Chen and the others, and then entered her tent. After entering her tent, she went straight into the Heaven and Earth bracelet. She watched little Feng Feng sprinting around excitedly, and knew instantly that this little guy was adapting well. Blaze also had a little partner now. As for the Silver Wolf King and Queen, they were still adapting. Lung Ruoxue didn't bother them, She walked straight into the purple bamboo house and looked at the sleeping baby. Then she calmed her mind and prepared to refine artifacts. During this period of time, she had spent much more time on alchemy than artificing, so her artificing level was not very high. However, she planned to use her time refining artifacts tonight. The next morning, after getting out of her tent, she found that everyone was busy, and their spirits were very high. After seeing her, they all stopped working and gathered in front of her, looking at her with gratitude. Mississippi. Very good. Lung Ruoshua looked at the 15 people in front of her. Fengde was now an advanced spiritual monarch, and 3 were now intermediate spiritual monarchs among the other 14 people. Lung Ruoshua took out 14 badges, gave them to Fengde, and asked him to share them with the others. The badges were golden, and had 2 small beasts on the front. One was a blazing flame lion, and the other was a silver wolf. They were the images of Blaze and Little Fengfeng. Each of their names was engraved on the back of each badge. After Fengde finished distributing them, seeing that he did not have one, he looked at Lung Ruoshua eagerly. Lung Ruoshua took out a purplish gold badge and handed it to Fengde amusedly. Fengde took the badge and happily pinned it on the left side of his chest. The badges need a drop of blood to recognize their master, Lung Ruoshua said. After hearing this, the 15 of them hurriedly dripped blood onto their badges. After that, all of them became stunned. What happened to them? Feng Moran asked curiously as he walked toward Schwer. This is yours. It will recognize you as its master with a drop of blood. Lung Ruoshua handed Feng Moran a purple badge. Oh. Feng Moran did the same without even thinking about it, and then became stunned like the others. What good thing is that? Yichen came forward, carrying 2 spirit beasts that resembled pigs. 1. Chapter 36. You are a monster, too. Lung Ruoshua looked at his clothes a little helpless. This glutton went hunting early in the morning. These are the badges of our mercenary group for you too. Lung Ruoshua handed him and Muli a badge each. They took the badge and pinned them directly on their chests. Schwer, this sacred artifact, a defensive sacred artifact? Feng Moran asked in disbelief, after coming back to his senses. Heavens, could Schwer also be an artificer? Yes, what's wrong? Is it strange? Feng Emo was speechless. Where did this monster come from? Not only is she an alchemist, but she's also an artificer. A sacred artifact. Only a supreme artificer can refine one. The levels of weapons and equipment were divided into treasured artifacts, spirit artifacts, and sacred artifacts. Each level was also divided into elementary, intermediate, and advanced. Only a supreme artificer could refine sacred artifacts, but the success rate of that was only 30%. Big brother Feng, you have to calm down. What if I tell you that I'm also a beast trainer? Lung Ruoshua said half-jokingly. She planned to have a few of her subordinates establish contracts with spirit beasts, so she didn't intend to hide it anyway. You are a monster. Feng Moran managed to muster saying after being stunned for a while. The mercenaries, who had just recovered their senses, also nodded in agreement with Feng Moran. Their young lady was indeed a monster. But this monster was their young lady and the person they wanted to follow. So the more monstrous she was, the better. Becoming spiritual monarchs, defensive sacred artifacts. And Miss said she would help us contract spirit beasts. Heavens! They didn't even dare to think about this type of equipment before. But this also made them more determined to follow their young lady forever. Lung Ruoshua looked at the excited people in front of her. Since you are now my subordinates, of course I will give you the best equipment. However, it's not up to me as to how far you can go. What she implied was that she would give them the same opportunities, but what they could achieve would depend on their own efforts. We won't let Miss down, the 15 people said in unison. Fengde, you will still be their captain in the future, Lung Ruoshua said. Yes, Fengde quickly replied, unable to hide the excitement on his face. He originally thought that it was enough to stay alive following this young lady, but he did not expect such a big surprise. In the future, solve everything that you can by yourself. If you can't solve it, don't bother me. Lung Ruoshua continued irresponsibly. She hated trouble. Fengde was stunned and dumbfounded. What does Miss mean? Miss, do you intend to be an arm-flinging shopkeeper? But you shouldn't leave us alone. Thinking of this, Fengde couldn't help looking at Lung Ruoxue aggrievedly. Then if there's something that we can't solve, who should we look for? Fengde had the expression of Miss, you can't leave us alone. Lung Ruoxue thought for a while, and then casually and very irresponsibly pointed at Feng Moran. Talk to him. He will be your immediate superior from now on. Schwer. Feng Moran looked at her aggrievedly. That's right. Feng Moran, Yi Chun, and Muli will all be the deputy leaders of our mercenary group from now on. Ask them if you have any issues in the future. Just don't bother me. Lung Ruoxue made up her mind to an arm-flinging shopkeeper no matter what. Okay, look for him if you encounter small things. But only look for me if you meet something big. Yi Chun also pointed at Feng Moran. You all. Feng Moran was speechless. What sort of people are they? Alas, Fengde could see that all of them did not want to take any responsibilities. How can there be such lazy people in this world? Miss, I have drafted regulations for the mercenary group. Deputy Leader Feng has read it, and said to ask you for instructions. Fengde said after finding Lung Ruoxue. Since he has okayed it, there's no need to show me. Lung Ruoxue looked at the thick pile of paper in Fengde's hand with a bit of a headache. Miss, you are the leader of the group, and you must agree before we can implement it, Fengde explained. Oh, put it there first. I'll take a look when I have time. Lung Ruoxue frowned slightly. So thick. Fengde put the regulation draft in front of her, and went to work on other things. Miss, we are back. We gathered a lot of herbs today. Lin Yuan handed the storage ring in his hand to Lung Ruoxue. He knew that alchemists like their young lady would not let herbs go whenever they saw them. They did not pick ordinary herbs before. Thank you. Lung Ruoxue took the ring, moved the medicinal herbs to her ring, and then returned the ring to Lin Yuan. Basically, every mercenary would learn some knowledge in distinguishing medicinal herbs in order to avoid encountering valuable herbs and not knowing during missions. Miss, I have another piece of news, Lin Yuan said mysteriously. What news? Lung Ruoxue was a little curious. During these days, Lin Yuan and the group's knowledge had improved a lot. Ordinary news probably wouldn't interest him. Purple pearl fruit. Where? Purple pearl fruits were similar to green spirit fruits. Both were more beneficial to spirit beasts, and could help spirit beasts to advance. But it could only replenish spiritual energy for humans. The purple pearl fruit might be dispensable to Lung Ruoxue, but she happened not to have one in her hand. Moreover, she had so many beasts, and they would definitely need them in the future. About a 2-day journey away from here. I heard that a level 9 holy beast is guarding it. And the Su family seems to be there too. Apparently, they have to obtain the purple pearl fruit by hook or by crook. Lin Yuan told Lung Ruoxue the news he had heard. The Su family? Lung Ruoxue called Fengde and asked him to tell everyone to pack up and to set off immediately. Schwer, why are we leaving in such a hurry? Yi Chun looked at Lung Ruoxue with some uncertainty. Feng Moran also looked at Lung Ruoxue incomprehensibly. Didn't Schwer say we would rest for 2 days before setting off? These days, not only had they captured a lot of high-level spirit beasts for contracts, but Schwer had also arranged special training for them. They were all a little tired. There's a purple pearl fruit in front, Lung Ruoxue said. Today, I permit the use of flying spirit beasts, Lung Ruoxue said and summoned Quill at the same time. She planned to reach the vicinity of the purple pearl fruit quickly and let the whole team have a good rest there instead. Chapter 37. One cannot reveal the secrets of the heavens after hearing this. Everyone quickly summoned the flying spirit beasts that they had recently contracted. Their young lady usually didn't allow them to use them. In the words of their young lady, it was to train their endurance. Feng Moran summoned the flying spirit beast that he had never had the opportunity to use, and was ready and waiting for Schwer to issue the order. Muli also has his own flying spirit beast, but only Yi Chun did not have one. However, he did not need to be invited by others, nor was he embarrassed. Instead, he sat directly on Quill's back with his arms wrapped around Lung Ruoxue's waist casually. One Schwer, you have to protect me, I'm afraid of heights. Yi Chen's face looked terrified. It was obvious that he wanted to take advantage of her. Lung Ruoxue could do nothing about his cheekiness. She rolled her eyes at him, and didn't bother to care about him. She waved her hand to signal everyone to go. It only took a few hours before they reached the vicinity of the purple pearl fruit. Lung Ruoxue sat on Quill's back and flew around. Seeing that the place closest to the fruit was already full of people, she chose a place not too far away from it as their temporary camp. Everyone seemed to be waiting for the purple pearl fruit to mature. After everyone landed, they quickly set up a camp, lit a fire and prepared to cook. Miss, in addition to the Anaconda Mercenary Group, the Hurricane Mercenary Group, and the Universal Mercenary Group are also here. Among the 5 great families, only the Su family is here. In addition, there are several teams sent by some small and medium-sized mercenary groups and families. As for the Guardian Holy Beast, I heard it's a level 9 King Kong Great Ape. Lin Yuan, whom Lung Ruoxue had sent to scout for news, reported when he returned. King Kong Great Ape? Lung Ruoxue pondered. For Schwer, a King Kong Great Ape isn't easy to deal with. They're very rare spirit beasts with both offensive and defensive capabilities. They have extraordinary strength and combat power, Yi Chen said from the side. Lung Ruoxue nodded. She also knew that a King Kong Great Ape would be difficult to deal with, but she was not too worried because she had Charm with her. Beloved master, how could you forget Darling? Leave that silly orangutan to your darling. Darling jumped into Lung Ruoxue's arms and acted coquettishly. You can beat it. Lung Ruoxue looked up and down at the small and cute Darling. With his small arms and legs, wouldn't that giant ape slap him flat before he could do anything? Master, fighting is a barbaric behavior. How can I, your Darling, do something so crude? Darling said in contempt. He was a gentlemanly fox who didn't like fighting. What method do you have then? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. One cannot reveal the secrets of the heavens, Darling said proudly. This little thing actually left her hanging. Lung Ruoxue rubbed Darling's fluffy little head. You don't get any share of dinner tonight. Beloved master, how can you bear to let your dearest Darling go hungry? Darling wailed pitifully. His silver eyes complained with tears in them, yet looked at Yi Chen triumphantly, full of provocation. Yi Chen looked at the little purple fox lying in Lung Ruoxue's arms, acting coquettishly and provoking him. He only found him an eyesore. If Schwer weren't here, he would have thrown out this stinky coquettish fox. How dare he compete with me? One Lung Ruoxue felt a headache watching the silent sparks fly between the human and the fox. Charm jumped onto Lung Ruoxue's shoulder and said softly, Master, food is ready. Charm is still the most well-behaved. Lung Ruoxue deliberately ran her hand through Charm's beautiful and white fluffy fur. Schwer, I'm very well-behaved too. Beloved master, your Darling is also very well-behaved. The human and fox spoke in unison, while shooting their jealous eyes at Charm, achieving a tacit understanding to cooperate. Hurry up and eat. Then rest early after dinner, Lung Ruoxue said. Okay. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue got out of her tent and saw only Feng Moran, Yi Chen and Muli. Feng De and the others went out so early? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. It isn't time for breakfast yet, right? Or did I get up late? They said they had something to do and would be back later, Yi Chen explained. It was so early in the morning, and yet they were sneaking around. Who knew what they were doing? Miss, we are back, Feng De said, a little embarrassed. Were you robbed? Feng Moran's eyes widened in disbelief. Every one of them was in tattered clothing and had bloodstains on their bodies. Their cheeks were swollen blue and purple, as though they had just been beaten. Very good. Lung Ruoxue glanced at their condition. Big Brother Feng only saw their appearance, but she noticed that their current strength was the same as before they advanced. The badges she gave them had the function of hiding their true strength, and they seemed to have used it. While she didn't care about the Su family and the Anaconda Mercenary Group, she understood and accepted their intentions for doing this. Yi Chen and Muli just glanced at them and didn't say anything. Young master, I almost couldn't see you anymore. Covered in blood, Feng De ignored the strange gazes of everyone present, threw himself at the young man's side, and wept bitterly. The dozen or so people behind him were all in bad shape as well. You are Fengde? What happened to you? The young man was puzzled. Fengde and his team might not be the very best in their mercenary group, but they were definitely among the best. How could they be in such a miserable state? Young master, we encountered 2 earth pythons, both of which were holy beasts. So Fengde hesitated and stopped speaking. Earth pythons? What about Liner and my third brother? Where are they? A middle-aged man rushed out of the crowd and asked anxiously. Second young lady and third master were killed by the earth pythons. Fengde said with a sad expression. Dead? What about the corpses? The middle-aged man didn't believe Fengde. His third brother was a spiritual sovereign. Even if he encountered a holy beast-level earth python, he possessed enough strength to fend it off. Moreover, there were these mercenaries to help. How could he possibly die so easily? They were eaten by the earth pythons. Fengde lied without so much as a fluster. Nonsense. If my third brother, who is a spiritual sovereign, was eaten by the earth pythons, then how could you still be alive? The middle-aged man said furiously. He did not care about Su Liner's life or death, but his third brother was his blood younger brother. Chapter 38. Why didn't you save the members of our Su family first? We were saved by others. How could we be alive otherwise? Fengde explained. What about the people who saved you? The middle-aged man asked angrily. They left after saving us. Then why didn't they save my third brother first but instead saved you? The middle-aged man was furious. Elder Su, we might be mercenaries with low status and not of noble birth like third master and second young lady, but we are also raised by our parents. Please don't insult our dignity. Moreover, can we decide who our benefactor wants to save? Fengde said righteously. Fengde's words resonated with the mercenaries present. Elder Zu's words despising the lives of mercenaries had already made them a little unhappy, but now Fengde's words had completely aroused their dissatisfaction. That's right. Are the lives of your Su family precious, while the lives of us mercenaries worthless? Someone said in the crowd. That's right. The Su family is too much. Isn't this bullying? Someone else said. Young Master Zhang Jian, your mercenary group didn't do a good job of protection. You must give our Su family an explanation for this matter. The middle-aged man's angry face turned livid after everyone accused him, so he simply turned his spear toward the young master of the Anaconda mercenary group and demanded an explanation. This, Zhang Jian frowned and glared at Fengde fiercely. How dare they cause trouble for the mercenary group? He turned his gaze toward the young masters of the Hurricane Mercenary Group and Universal Mercenary Group, Ju Ri and Song Ran, hoping they could help him. However, they refused to look at him. He was so pissed off. Elder Su, this incident is indeed a mistake of our Anaconda Mercenary Group. In order to make up for the bereavement of Elder Su, we are willing to hand them over to you to be at your disposal. Zhang Jian steeled himself and said. Fengde's team was indeed one of the main forces of the mercenary group, but they could not offend the Su family. If a few people did not die, it would be difficult to dispel the Su family's hatred. Therefore, he had to sacrifice them in hopes that the Su family would see his sincerity and not pursue the matter further. Young Master Zhang, you are a sensible person. The patriarch will see your sincerity, Elder Su said with admiration. The Su family had always had a close cooperative relationship with the Anaconda mercenary group. Therefore, he was very clear that the patriarch would not destroy the group just for his brother and the seemingly favored Liner. After all, there were many things that the Su family found inconvenient to come forward for personally, so they still needed the help of the Anaconda mercenary group. However, since the people were dead, it was impossible not to pursue the matter at all. The Su family's face still had to be retrieved. Young Master, you can't give up on us, Fengde said with grief. Young Master, no need to shout. I'm expelling you from the Anaconda mercenary group. From now on, you are no longer a part of us, Zhang Jian said sternly. Go down and accompany my brother, Elder Su said with a grim face. He raised the saber in his hand, gathered his spiritual power on the blade, and slashed at them. Ding! A stream of spiritual power knocked Elder Zu's sword to the ground. Who is it? Come out! Elder Su roared in anger. How can the people I saved be killed at will? Lung Ruoxia's group of 4 walked out from the crowd. As soon as they appeared, their extraordinary elegance immediately stunned the crowd, making the people reluctant to look away. You were the ones who saved them? Elder Su came to his senses and asked while gritting his teeth. Among the 4 of them, there was an advanced spiritual sovereign and an advanced spiritual monarch, but he could not discern the strength of the beautiful girl and the freakishly good-looking man in black. Yes, we saved them, Lung Ruoxia said coldly. Why didn't you save people from our Su family first? Elder Su shouted furiously. I save people by mood, not by identity, Lung Ruoxia said disdainfully. So what if you're from the Su family? The Su family isn't any better than pigs to me. Our Su family won't let you go. Elder Su threatened, trembling with rage. Are you threatening us? The Su family is worthy of being one of the 5 great families. So imposing, I'm so scared. Lung Ruoxia said mockingly with a scared expression on her face. The Su family is too much. They're threatening people who didn't save their family members. The Su family only has this level of tolerance. All the men present saw the stunning beauty being threatened and wronged by others, and they immediately interrupted in righteous indignation. Miss, you've just saved me and my brothers once again. My brothers and I are willing to follow Miss and repay you for your great favor. I will fight against whoever dares make trouble for Miss, Fengde said solemnly. Even though he knew that the young lady didn't need them to act in this way, they would always feel a knot in their hearts if they didn't. Moreover, they did this to let people know of the ruthlessness and bullying nature of the Su family and the Anaconda mercenary group. Since you've been expelled from the Anaconda mercenary group, I will accept you. Lung Ruoxia nodded. She found that Fengde and the others were becoming more devious. But just as well, she was pretty satisfied. How dare you take in the people who our Su family wants to kill? Elder Zu's face darkened with anger. You said you wouldn't let us go. Then what does it matter if I take them in or not? Lung Ruoxia said without any fear, not paying attention to this angry Elder Su at all. Young Master Zhang. Elder Su turned his head to look at Zhang Jian for support. Although he really wanted to kill them to vent his anger for the death of his brother, he was an elder of a prominent family after all, and hadn't lost his reason yet. He was not afraid of the spiritual sovereign, nor the spiritual monarch. Who he feared were the stunning girl and the freakishly good-looking man. He couldn't tell how strong these 2 people were at all. But since they could kill 2 holy beast-level earth pythons, then they were definitely not weaker than him. So he didn't dare to act rashly. Elder Su, I expelled them just now. You heard it. Zhang Jian was not stupid. Since he had already handed them over, he wouldn't care if they were killed or not. Zhang Jian turned his head and looked at Lung Ruoxia. When did such a great beauty appear on the Lingfeng continent? Even Shui Xinran of the Shui family is like a weed compared to her. Chapter 39. King Kong Great Ape. May I ask your good name, miss? Zhang Jian asked, thinking he was being very polite and authentic. He couldn't help but convince himself that only he deserved to have such a stunning beauty. For Lung Ruoxia looked at the young master of the Anaconda mercenary group. He looks okay, but his character isn't very good. Because she did not have a good impression of him, she did not plan to talk to him. Wife, who is this person? Yi Chen said with a look of jealousy and dissatisfaction. How dare he have any ideas about Shuer? He must be tired of living. I don't know. Lung Ruoxia said helplessly. This man insisted on calling her his wife whenever there were many people around. Zhang Jian couldn't believe that such a great beauty was actually married. But since she was married, she wasn't worthy of him even if she was so beautiful. Lung Ruoxia glanced at Zhang Jian with a bit of disgust, and she then looked at the young masters of the other 2 major mercenary groups. These 2 young masters were superior in both appearance and demeanor. It seems that this Anaconda mercenary group will be destroyed in his hands sooner or later. Seeing Lung Ruoxia's gaze on them, Ju Ri and Song Ran nodded friendly. Miss, your tent is set up. Fengde walked over. Lung Ruoxia nodded. She completely ignored the fuming elder Sue and went directly into her tent to rest. Not long after entering, a purple shadow jumped into her arms. Beloved master, your darling is back. Lung Ruoxua gently touched the thick, fluffy fur on Darling's body. Ah, it feels really good. Did the ape agree? Lung Ruoxua asked. Any spirit beast with wisdom would agree to exchange a green spirit pill for a purple pearl fruit. It was not a loss. With Darling going into action, how could that stupid ape dare not to agree? Darling said proudly. Hee. His strategy was to exchange his cute master's green spirit pill for the purple pearl fruit. However, that stupid ape has another condition. Darling said a little uncomfortably. Even though he had always called that guy stupid ape, the ape wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was really smart. What condition? Lung Ruoxua asked, a little baffled. He wants to acknowledge you as his master. Darling was a little annoyed. After that stupid ape knew that his beloved master was an alchemist, he wanted to be with her too. Whoa, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have told that stupid thing. Too. Lung Ruoxua was speechless. Why are the spirit beasts I meet all so savvy? But I really don't want to have an ape as my spirit beast. She felt terrified just thinking about having a huge ape following behind her. It would really become Beauty and the Beast. One, go and tell him that I won't accept him as my spirit beast. However, if he's willing, let him acknowledge Big Brother Feng as his master. I won't treat him badly, Lung Ruoxua said after some thought. Big Brother Feng was the weakest among them. His strength would improve a lot if he contracted with this ape. What's the matter? Yichen walked in and asked. He just saw that stinky fox come back. Why did he go out again? He went to look for the ape, Lung Ruoxua explained. What? The matter isn't resolved yet? Didn't he say it's easy? Yichen said gloatingly. The ape said he wanted to acknowledge me as his master, but I didn't agree. I asked Darling to tell him to acknowledge Big Brother Feng as his master, Lung Ruoxua said. There were so many people here, so it would be really inconvenient if they were to go negotiate with the ape in person. She didn't want to become everyone's target. Schwer, you are being biased. You don't share good things with me, Yichen complained, looking at Lung Ruoxua with pitiful eyes. Don't tell me you want that ape. Lung Ruoxua didn't believe he was interested in that ape. Regardless, you are being biased, Yichen said aggrievedly. He wasn't interested in the ape, but he just couldn't stand seeing Schwer caring so much about other men. We'll have earth python meat for dinner tonight. Lung Ruoxua didn't say anything useless, and directly threw out food as bait. Okay, give it to me. Yichen directly stretched out his hand to ask for the meat, so that Schwer would not regret it. During this period, he had been asking for it for a long time, but Schwer was reluctant to take it out to eat. What a glutton! Lung Ruoxua reluctantly took out dozens of pieces of earth python meat and put them in front of Yichen. Yichen unceremoniously collected the meat hurriedly into his ring, for fear that someone would snatch it from him. Big Brother Feng, come with me, Lung Ruoxua whispered to Feng Moran. Schwer, where are we going? Feng Moran was puzzled. Schwer was bringing him quite a distance away. Lung Ruoxua led Feng Moran around randomly to make sure that no one was following them. And then they went into a cave. The cave was very small, and they had to bend down to get in. Darling, which way should we go? Lung Ruoxua asked Darling, who was lying in her arms, after they entered the cave. Turn left and go all the way to the end, Darling said. The two walked for about half an hour, and finally came to a very spacious cave. Lung Ruoxua looked at the King Kong great ape. He was about 10 meters tall and covered with long black hair, and his body was strong and resembled a mountain. She couldn't help but be impressed. What an ape! He's probably the tallest and most robust spirit beast I've seen. Big Brother Feng, this ape will be your spirit beast from now on, Lung Ruoxua said. Hush, Schwer. No, this isn't good. Her words shocked Feng Moran. This was a level 9 holy beast, a level 9 holy beast. There were only 2 such beasts in the Feng family. Acknowledge your master, Lung Ruoxua said directly to the King Kong great ape. This gorilla was unexpectedly also a spirit beast with an ancient noble bloodline. The King Kong great ape nodded and directly initiated the process. After a while, the contract array disappeared, and he successfully acknowledged his master. Master! The King Kong Great Ape's voice boomed. His master's current strength was now very low, but with such friends, he believed that following his master was definitely the right choice. Ah! Feng Moran was obviously still a little dazed, but he felt the connection between his soul and the ape's and knew that the ape had already acknowledged him as his master. Schwer! Feng Moran looked at Schwer and didn't know what to say. Schwer treated him better than his family did, and he really didn't know how to repay her. Chapter 40. Big brother is hurt, big brother Feng. Let's go out first. Lung Ruoxua said. What about the purple pearl fruit? Relax. I've put it away. Then let's quickly leave before someone finds us. There were so many people waiting outside. If they were discovered, everyone would target them immediately. Let's go. Although Lung Ruoxua wasn't worried about the people outside, she decided that it would still cause too much trouble. And she hated trouble. Master, I want to stay here to advance, the King Kong Great Ape said awkwardly. He had waited for far too long, and now that he finally had a chance, he didn't want to wait any longer. Here, there are many people outside. It won't be safe to stay here, Feng Moran said worriedly. Master, don't worry. It's not so easy to come here, the King Kong Great Ape said confidently. Big brother Feng, just let him advance here, Lung Ruoxua said after deliberation. Spirit beasts were very adaptable, and each had its means of survival. Since he was so confident, there shouldn't be a problem. Moreover, they would be guarding outside. All right. Be careful then, Feng Moran said. Since Schwer says so, nothing should happen. At this point, his admiration for Schwer knew no bounds. Seeing the two return with rabbits in their hands, Yi Chen knew that it was done. You must be tired. Food will be ready soon. Yi Chen walked to Lung Ruoxua. Did something happen? Lung Ruoxua couldn't help asking when she saw the smirk on his face. Just now, Elder Su saw us grilling the earth python meat, and said that we were eating Su family members, Yi Chen explained. Elder Su, you are mistaken. Us eating the earth python is actually avenging your Su family members. Lung Ruoxua smiled gently at Elder Su. The poor earth pythons died, and still had to take the blame for them. Obviously, Elder Su couldn't bear these words. Upon hearing them, he instantly fainted from anger. Miss, you are my idol. Fengde had stars in his eyes. Miss can knock out a peak spiritual sovereign merely with words. Amazing. You're not bad either. Feng Moran suddenly praised. At first, he thought these mercenaries were all straightforward and honest people. But unexpectedly they were so devious. He almost thought their acting earlier was real. Hee, it's all thanks to Miss teaching us well. Fengde didn't dare to take the compliment. It was the result of their young lady training them well during this period. Do you mean that it's this young lad's bad influence? Lung Ruoxua said cheekily. No. Fengde immediately denied in fright. Oh gosh, please don't get mad at me. Your training ideas are too creative. I can't handle them. Why are you so scared? Relax. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't haggle over it with you, Lung Ruoxua said as she took out a stack of paper from her storage ring and passed it to Fengde. Just follow the instructions here. I'm going to rest. Then Lung Ruoxua headed straight into her tent. When Fengde saw the content on the paper, his lips twitched, and cold sweat rolled down his forehead. What's the matter? Let me see, Feng Moran said. After reading it, he was dumbfounded. Does Schwer not want our mercenary group to have any business? Very good, just to my liking. Yi Chen approved after reading it. After entering her tent, Lung Ruoxua went straight into the heaven and earth bracelet. Qingju had already planted the purple pearl fruit. Big sister. Lung Ruoxua carried the chubby and tender baby and kissed his pretty little face before going to the purple pearl fruit. The purple pearl fruit resembled a green spirit fruit, but the colors were different. The purple pearl fruit was a beautiful fuchsia. Big sister. The little wolf Feng ran over to Lung Ruoxua happily. Little Feng, don't be naughty in here. Lung Ruoxua carried little Feng into her arms. This little thing had gained some weight after staying here for a few days, and was a little rounder. Yes, Feng is very obedient, the little wolf said. Qingju. Big sister is heading out first, Lung Ruoxua said as she left the heaven and earth bracelet with the little wolf. Big brother ran, it's so nice to see you here. When Lung Ruoxua left her tent, she saw a pretty and delicate girl talking to Feng Moran. Although the girl was talking to Feng Moran, she kept eyeing Yi Chen. Who is she? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously when she walked to Yi Chen's side. Seems like someone from his previous mercenary group? Yi Chen said disgruntledly. How dare this woman fantasize about me? Hello, big sister. Thank you for taking care of big brother Ran. The delicate girl walked up to Lung Ruoxua and spoke as if they were well acquainted. Wait, do I know you? Lung Ruoxua was puzzled, but she was looking at Feng Moran. Who does she think she is? Why is she thanking me? What a hypocritical woman. Does she think her smile can hide her jealousy? The flicker of jealousy in the woman's eyes flashed by quickly, but it couldn't escape Lung Ruoxua's eyes. Big sister, I am Hong Xiu, big brother Ran's friend, Hong Xiu said tenderly, beaming from ear to ear. Since you are only big brother Feng's friend, I don't think you should be the one thanking me. Besides, I'm only 15. Do you think you're younger than me? Lung Ruoxua said coldly, not giving her any face at all. This irrelevant person dares to provoke me. Big brother Ran I. Hong Xiu looked at Feng Moran aggrievedly with tears welling up in her eyes, hoping that he would speak up for her. In the past, he always took good care of her in the mercenary group. You don't belong here. Go back. Feng Moran said impatiently. He didn't want to have the slightest relationship with anyone from his previous mercenary group. Big brother Ran. Hong Xiu was dumbfounded. It shouldn't be like this. You don't have to feel bothered about being expelled from a second-rate mercenary group. Brother, I was expelled from the second-best one. Feng De patted Feng Moran's shoulder to console him. You're right. Everyone from now on, we are the Blazing Flame mercenary group. Feng Moran declared at the top of his lungs. Chapter 41. Big brother is hurt, too. After Feng Moran finished speaking, many mercenary groups and families who wanted to befriend them came forward to congratulate them. Although establishing a mercenary group wasn't a big deal, anyone could see their strength. Congratulations! Zhu Ri and Song Ran deliberately walked up to Lung Ruoxua. They knew that this stunning girl in front of them was the core of the group. Thank you, everyone. In order to thank you for your kind intentions, I have decided to invite everyone who congratulated us to eat earth python meat, Lung Ruoxua said. Since others intended to be on good terms with her, she shouldn't be too distant. Moreover, her meaning was obvious. Only those who had congratulated her earlier would have a share. Really, that's great. What a treat. Some of those who came to offer their congratulations didn't expect something so good, and they were overjoyed. Earth python meat wasn't something that just anyone had the chance to eat. We still don't know your names? Zhu Ri and Song Ran couldn't help asking after sitting together with Lung Ruoxua's group of 4. Feng Moran. Muli. Yi Chen. She is my wife, Lung Ruoxua. Yi Chen introduced directly, wanting to strangle his love rivals to death in the bud. Lung Ruoxua? Eastern Lagoon's General Lung's granddaughter, Lung Ruoxua? Zhu Ri asked in surprise. Lung Ruoxua nodded. Has the young master of the Hurricane mercenary group heard of my foolish misdeeds before? Hurricane should be in the Southern Dusk Empire. Is Lung Ruhan your elder brother? Zhu Ri asked. Does big brother Zhu know my elder brother? Lung Ruoxua asked with some doubt. Your elder brother is injured, Zhu Ri explained. What did you say? Lung Ruoxua asked in disbelief. Lung Ruhan is injured, and I heard that his injury is rather serious, Zhu Ri explained. How did big brother get injured? Lung Ruoxua really couldn't believe it. Her brother should have broken through to spiritual sovereign long ago, with the spirit fruit she had left behind. How could he be injured? Shuer, calm down. Yi Chen hugged Lung Ruoxua tenderly and comforted her. Shuer was very cold to outsiders, but she greatly valued her loved ones and people she believed in. She panicked a little when she heard that her brother was injured. What should we do? What should we do? Lung Ruoxua looked at Yi Chen helplessly with tears in her beautiful eyes. Don't worry. He'll be fine. Yi Chen comforted her. He had never seen Shuer so helpless before. Shuer, don't worry. Ruhan will be fine. Feng Moran also comforted her. Shuer had always been his pillar and strong in his heart. So his heart ached when he saw Shuer's weak and helpless appearance. I want to go back to Phoenix City to see Big Brother, Lung Ruoxua said anxiously. Okay, well go back now, Yichen said comfortingly. Big Brother Feng, I have something to tell you, Lung Ruoxua said to Feng Moran. Okay. Feng Moran stood up and walked into Lung Ruoxua's tent with her. Big Brother Feng, take this. Lung Ruoxua handed him a jade bottle. What is this? Feng Moran was curious. Poison. I'm afraid some people will have some devious ideas after I leave. Big Brother Feng doesn't need to be soft-hearted then. Lung Ruoxua could leave early, but not Big Brother Feng. Charm. Master, I will protect them, Charm said understandingly. He knew that his master was worried about them, so she wanted him to stay. Thank you. Lung Ruoxua hugged Charm's small and cute body tightly, feeling a little reluctant to part. But with Charm here, she would be much more at ease. Big Brother Feng, ask Fengda to come in after you go out. Okay. Charm jumped onto Feng Moran's shoulder and followed him out of the tent. Mississippi. Fengda walked in and looked at Lung Ruoxua with some concern. He just heard that something had happened to his young lattice elder brother. His young lady valued them so much. What more her own blood relatives? Protect them, Lung Ruoxua said directly and handed him a bottle of poison. While I don't allow you to bully others with your power, I won't allow you to be bullied by others either. So don't embarrass me. If anyone dares to bully you, don't be soft-hearted. And don't be afraid of causing me trouble. I might hate trouble, but am not afraid of it. You have to know that our Lung family isn't easy to bully, Lung Ruoxua reminded him. The Lung family was the most protective of their own. The reason she said this to Fengda was that she was afraid that Big Brother Feng would have too many concerns and be unable to do it. Miss, don't worry. Fengda won't let anyone bully our Lung family, Fengda promised. He had long regarded himself as a member of the Lung family. It was their fortune to have such a protective master. Stay here with Big Brother Feng. After the King Kong Great Ape breaks through, you can return to Phoenix City with him or stay here to train. Lung Ruoxua gave them two choices. Fengda nodded. Don't worry, Mississippi. I promise I won't let anyone lose a strand of hair. Muli, stay and protect them. If necessary, kill anyone without mercy. Yichen also instructed Muli with a cold glow flashing through his eyes. Before leaving, Lung Ruoxua gave Juri a heavenly essence pill, and Song ran a spirit fruit as repayment for their kindness in reporting the news. Then she left the illusionary forest with Yi Chun on Quill's back. Seeing the two people he feared the most leave, Elder Su became a little restless. Let's see who can protect you now. He was the strongest here, now since the two people he couldn't see through left. Now, it's the time for us to settle the score properly, Elder Su said to Fengda and the others cockily. Yo, why isn't Elder Su pretending to be dead? Fengda said mockingly. This elder wasn't so lively when his young lady was around. Boss, you don't understand. The higher the status, the more afraid of death. He wasn't confident that he could defeat our young lady, so of course he could only pretend to be dead, Lin Yuan said cooperatively. Oh, no wonder. Realization dawned upon Fengda's face. Chapter 42. Depart you. This old man will not let any of you go. Elder Su said through gritted teeth with hatred in his heart. How dare a mere great spiritualist crack a joke at my expense? You are too presumptuous. How dare a great spiritualist be so rampant? Where is your respect for the dignity of the strong? Zhang Jian rebuked them, seemingly with a sense of righteousness. In fact, he said this in hopes of borrowing Elder Zu's hand to kill them, so that he could vent his anger. Lung Ruoxua asked for it when she ignored him. She's just a married woman who isn't worthy of me. However, his innate superiority made him unable to tolerate her ignoring him. Now that the dignity of the strong was on the line, Elder Su had no choice but to attack. How could a powerhouse allow himself to be humiliated by an ant? This concerned his dignity and face. Prepare to die, Elder Su said furiously. Wait, Elder Su, are you sure you want to kill them? Juri asked. He had gained many benefits from Lung Ruoxue, so it was impossible for him not to intervene. Yes, Elder Su, you should think about it carefully. Song Ran echoed. Are you two young masters standing up for them? Elder Su questioned, displeased. He didn't want the two major mercenary groups, Hurricane and Universal, to intervene in the feud between them. Elder Su, we're doing this for your own good. Their young lady might have left, but do you think she could have left feeling relieved if she didn't leave something for her subordinates to fend for their lives? Juri reminded kindly. Elder Su hesitated after hearing what Juri said. He wasn't a fool, and certainly didn't want to provoke an enemy he didn't know the details of. Just as he was hesitating, a stream of heaven and earth laws descended. Is this a level 9 holy beast breaking through? At that moment, Elder Zu's mind was fully attracted by the holy beast's breakthrough. How could he have the mood to avenge his brother? Wouldn't a level 9 holy beast break through to become a divine beast? There had yet to be anyone in the entire Lingfeng continent who formed a contract with a divine beast. If he could obtain this divine beast, his status in the family would be second only to the patriarch. He had to obtain it. Everyone present was stunned. But what surprised them even more was that a second stream of heaven and earth laws descended soon after. Everyone was dumbfounded. Are there two holy beasts breaking through? Seeing the descent of the second stream of heaven and earth laws, Feng De and the others knew that Deputy Leader Feng had also advanced. Great, our mercenary group will have another spiritual sovereign now. Master! The King Kong Great Ape said happily as he transformed into a human. Thank you, King Kong. Feng Moran looked at the 2-meter-tall, handsome, and strong man in front of him with gratitude. It would have been impossible for him to advance 2 stages so easily to become a spiritual sovereign if King Kong didn't break through. Master, what about the people outside? King Kong scratched his head shyly. Hee, Master is being too polite. Chase them away, Feng Moran said coldly. There was now a hint of Powerhouse's demeanor to him. Okay, leave my territory immediately, or else you will stay and be my dinner. King Kong roared outward. His master was too kind. If it were up to him, he would have just killed them all. By the time Feng Moran emerged, most of the people outside had already run away. You came back at the right time, Brother Feng. We were just about to say goodbye. Ju Ri and Song Ran said when they saw Feng Moran. Let's go together. Feng Moran said. Okay. Why didn't the Su family leave? Feng Moran asked curiously. Are they still thinking about killing us? The purple pearl fruit is gone, so they're probably after the divine beast, Ju Ri guessed. Divine beasts were extremely enticing, but people had to be alive to obtain them. How could they expect to obtain the King Kong Great Ape after it had eaten the purple pearl fruit and advanced to divine beast? The King Kong Great Ape must be in a good mood, so it let them leave instead of coming out to kill them all immediately. Of course, Feng Moran knew how attractive divine beasts were to powerhouses, but a divine beast had strength equivalent to a human spiritual deity. So how could it be easy to capture one? Even if there was one captured through a scheme, would there be a beast trainer who had the confidence to tame it? Even supreme beast trainers didn't have full confidence to tame one, right? Moreover, there was no supreme beast trainer on the Lingfeng continent now. I guess Elder Su isn't in the mood to kill us anymore, Feng Moran said jokingly. Of course you aren't as attractive as a divine beast, Ju Ri mocked. A peak spiritual sovereign wants to capture a divine beast. He's really overestimating his abilities. Brother Ju, Brother Tsong, we'll take our leave now. See you again, Feng Moran said when they reached a fork in the road. See you again. Deputy Leader Feng, are we going to Phoenix City? Feng De asked. Muli, what do you think? Feng Moran looked at Muli. You've just advanced, so you should consolidate your strength first before going back, Muli said after some thought. All right. Feng Moran knew that he wouldn't be of much help even if he returned. Moreover, Schwer had already gone back, so Lung Ruhan would definitely be fine. Schwer, don't worry. Nothing will happen. Yi Chen comforted her. I don't know how bad my big brother's injury is, so I'm just a little worried, Lung Ruoxue said. If it's only a minor injury, Grandpa wouldn't have issued a mercenary mission. Quill, let's take a break, Lung Ruoxue said after feeding him a pill. Master, I'm not tired, Quill said. Even though he had been flying for so long, he didn't feel tired since his master was constantly feeding him pills. Quill flew at a rapid pace. After flying for an entire day and night, they finally arrived at Phoenix City. Master Mrs. Back, Cui Zhu said excitedly as she ran into the study. Really? Where? Lung Qingtian was finally relieved when he heard that his precious granddaughter was back. Shuer will definitely have a way. Outside, Cui Zhu said excitedly. Lung Qingtian hurried to the yard and happened to see Shuer jump off the back of the giant eagle. Grandfather. Shuer. Lung Qingtian held his precious granddaughter tightly in his arms. After not seeing her for half a year, he missed her so much. Chapter 43. Arrived home. Let Grandpa take a good look. Oh, my Shuer has grown taller and prettier, Lung Qingtian said proudly. His grandchildren were his pride, but right now his grandson, alas. Shuer, who is he? Lung Qingtian looked at the stunningly beautiful man standing behind Shuer curiously. He wouldn't have noticed him if he hadn't coughed twice. Hello, Grandpa. I am Yi Chun. Yi Chun introduced himself. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect to be ignored like this one day. Yi Chun. Lung Qingtian looked at Lung Ruoxue. The meaning in his eyes was obvious. Was he the frail and sickly Yi Chun? Lung Ruoxue nodded. It's him. How did you two end up together? Lung Qingtian was puzzled. We met in the illusionary forest. Ah, this? Lung Qingtian pondered on what he should call him. Grandpa, just call me Yi Chun. All right, I'll call you Yi Chun from now on, Lung Qingtian said with satisfaction. How does this kid look like someone who's sick? Rumors can't be trusted. Grandpa, how is Big Brother? What happened? Lung Ruoxue asked worriedly. Alas, Lung Qingtian sighed. Shuer, it's too late today. Go and rest first. Grandpa will tell you tomorrow. Grandpa, I'm not tired. How could she sleep without knowing her brother's condition? Then let's talk inside, Lung Qingtian said. Shuer, Ruhan is seriously injured. All the meridians in his body have been broken, and all his spiritual power has been destroyed. He can't be a spiritualist anymore, Lung Qingtian said sadly. Alas, his good grandson suddenly turned from a genius into a cripple who couldn't cultivate spiritual power. Was this the jealousy of the heavens toward geniuses? Lung Ruoxue was stunned after hearing what her grandfather said. She didn't expect him to be so seriously injured. How did Big Brother get hurt? Lung Ruoxue asked. Big Brother should be a spiritual sovereign now. Since a spiritual sovereign could be injured so severely, his opponent should be much stronger than him. Humph. No matter who it is, I will make them pay the price for hurting my big brother. Sigh, don't remind me of it. Lung Qingtian said angrily. Grandpa, I want to know, Lung Ruoxue said seriously. Sigh. The academy said that Ruhan provoked a group of fire rhinoceroses and was besieged by them. Ruhan would have died if the teachers leading the team didn't save him in time. Lung Qingtian told Shuer the exact words the academy told him. Grandpa, do you believe that? Is Big Brother such an irrational person? Why would he provoke fire rhinoceroses? Lung Ruoxue asked angrily. Fire rhinoceroses were very barbaric spiritual beasts that lived in groups, and even spiritual supremacies wouldn't provoke them. There's nothing we can do even if we don't believe it. The students and teachers who went on the training exercise testified that it was Ruhan's mistake, and they were also injured because of it, Lung Qingtian said angrily. Some parents even came to ask for compensation. He was really furious. Did you ask Big Brother? Her brother was the party involved, so surely her grandfather would have asked him. Ruhan was unconscious for a long time, and only woke up a few days ago. Even until now, he's still refusing to say a word, Lung Qingtian said helplessly. He wouldn't have allowed those people to say whatever they wanted if Ruhan hadn't been unconscious. What did the principal of the Heavenly Phoenix Academy say? Isn't he Big Brother's master? Lung Ruoxue asked again. A master should at least understand their disciple's character. He has the same opinion as me. He didn't believe that Ruhan would be so rash. But Ruhan was unconscious the whole time, so we had no way to verify it. Alas, Grandpa is useless. Lung Qingtian rebuked himself. If Old Man Lin hadn't been away from Phoenix City at the time, the matter wouldn't have reached the point where it couldn't be sorted out. By the time Old Man Lin rushed back, the news had already spread throughout Eastern Lagoon. What about Big Brother's spirit beast? Lung Ruoxua asked. The spirit beast should know what happened. Dead. The teachers of the academy said that they wouldn't have been able to save Ruhan if his spirit beast hadn't self-exploded. Lung Qingtian said. I'm going to see Big Brother. Lung Ruoxua decided to check on her brother first. Grandpa will accompany you. Shui'er go too, Yichen said. Grandpa, please have some rest. Yichen and I will go. Lung Ruoxua and Yichen arrived at the cold tea pavilion, where Lung Ruhan lived. As soon as they entered, they saw a tall and thin figure standing in the middle of the yard. Lung Ruoxua could already feel the sadness from her big brother before she approached him. Big brother? Lung Ruoxua called out tenderly. Upon hearing Lung Ruoxia's voice, the thin figure standing in the middle of the yard turned around. Shui'er. Lung Ruhan, who had been silent since waking up, finally spoke when he saw his beloved sister. Big brother. Lung Ruhan hugged the emaciated Lung Ruhan and cried out in heartache. Damn it, my big brother, who used to be handsome as an immortal, is almost as thin as a piece of paper. He looks so haggard and dejected. Humph, no matter who caused him to become like this, I will never let it go. Shui'er. Lung Ruhan hugged Lung Ruoxua tightly as tears rolled down his cheeks. Shui'er, Ardent is dead, Lung Ruhan said sadly. Lung Ruoxua knew that Ardent was her brother's contracted spirit beast. Ardent's death must have devastated her brother. Alas, at this moment, she really hoped that her brother's relationship with Ardent hadn't been so deep. But it was too late to say anything now. Everyone in the Lung family greatly valued their spirit beasts and treated them as their family. Big brother, Ardent wouldn't want to see you like this. Lung Ruoxua knew that in her brother's heart, losing a partner whom he viewed as family devastated him more than losing his spiritual power and becoming a cripple. It was all to save me. I am too useless. Lung Ruhan blamed himself. Big brother, can you tell Shui'er what happened? Lung Ruoxua took the opportunity to ask. Shui'er, do you believe me? Lung Ruhan asked. When he woke up, Mingyan had told him the academy's explanation, but because he had been so immersed in the sadness of losing Ardent, he didn't bother to defend himself. Of course I believe you, Lung Ruoxua said. Why would she believe outsiders instead of the big brother who loved her? Chapter 44. Unlucky Fire Rhinoceros. As long as Shui'er believes Big Brother, Lung Ruhan said with relief. Big brother, aren't you going to tell Shui'er what happened? Lung Ruoxua asked. Shui'er, let the matter pass since things have developed to this point. It's enough as long as Shui'er believes me. Although he wanted to tell the truth, he didn't want to make things difficult for his master, nor did he want to damage his academy's reputation because of a few black sheep. Listen to Big Brother, Lung Ruoxua coaxed. She knew that her brother had concerns and would rather suffer himself. But she didn't have any. Let the matter pass. It's not going to be that easy. How can I let anyone who bullies the Lung family off so easily? Do they really think that the Lung family are pushovers? Big brother, it's getting late. You should rest early. Shui'er will visit you tomorrow. Okay. Big brother will sleep now and wait for Shui'er to come tomorrow. Lung Ruhan didn't want Shui'er to worry. Lung Ruoxua watched her brother fall asleep on the bed with her own eyes before leaving with Yichen. Shui'er, do you really intend to let this matter pass? Yichen asked curiously. What do you think? Lung Ruoxua asked rhetorically. No matter what you want to do, don't leave me behind. You have to count me in. Yichen didn't believe that this protective little woman would let those fellows who made her elder brother the scapegoat go unscathed. Okay, no problem, Lung Ruoxua said generously. Why should I decline if someone is willing to be a free goon? Come up, Lung Ruoxua said to Yichen as she sat on Quill's back. Where are we going? Yichen was curious. Misty Woods. Lung Ruoxia's pink lips softly murmured. The Misty Woods was one of the many medium-sized forests in the Eastern Lagoon Empire. It was incomparable to the illusionary forest, regardless of size and the population, types, and levels of spirit beasts. The Misty Woods was much safer than the illusionary forest, and it was very close to Phoenix City. As a result, the Heavenly Phoenix Academy often regarded the Misty Woods as a training ground for new students. She had learned from Ming, and that her brother met with the accident in the Misty Woods. "Are we going hunting in the Misty Woods at this late hour?" Yichen teased. "Yes, hunting," Lung Ruoxua said lightly. After flying for less than half an hour, Quill brought them to the entrance of the Misty Woods. "Quill, find a spirit beast and ask where the fire rhinoceros's territory is," Lung Ruoxua said directly. "Yes, master." Quill's sharp eagle eyes searched around and found an owl hiding in a tree. Quill flew directly to the front of the owl and asked, "Where is the territory of the fire rhinoceroses?" "This insignificant beast will bring you there," the 1-meter-tall owl said while trembling in fear. "This is it," the timid owl said. "Thank you. This is your reward." Lung Ruoxua threw a spirit fruit to the timid owl. The owl opened its mouth to catch the fruit, nodded in gratitude, and quickly flew away. "Quill, go and capture a fire rhinoceros for me," Lung Ruoxua ordered. The fire rhinoceroses should be asleep, so she had to lure them out. "Yes." Quill flew around in the sky and then swooped down. A chubby fiery red rhinoceros appeared in his sharp claws when he flew up again. Fire rhinoceroses were fire tribute rhinoceroses. They were mostly intermediate spirit beasts, but a small number of them were advanced spirit beasts of level 7 and above. The fire rhinoceros caught by Quill was a level 7 spirit beast. Who are you people?" the fire rhinoceros stammered. "Don't be scared. We just want to have a chat with you," Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. "I have nothing to talk about with humans," the fire rhinoceros said fearfully. How could it not be afraid? There was a holy beast eyeing it covetously next to it. "Boo-hoo. Schwer, I'm hungry. Let's roast it and eat it. It seems to have a lot of meat, so it should taste good." Yichen looked at the fire rhinoceros lying on the ground. "Yes, I heard that fire rhinoceros meat is very delicious. I haven't eaten it before," Lung Ruoxua said cooperatively. "It's more than that. The hide of fire rhinoceroses is also very valuable. So are their horns. They are all good raw materials for making equipment." Yichen commented critically about fire rhinoceroses. "One probably isn't enough to eat, right? Why don't we catch a few more? We can bring them back for Grandpa and the others to try," Lung Ruoxua said. "Master, I'm going to catch more." Quill flew up again. In less than half an hour, Quill caught more than a dozen fire rhinoceroses, each of them a level 7 spirit beast. "Quill, well done," Lung Ruoxua praised. Her beast was so smart and knew to capture advanced beasts. Spirit beasts with intelligence were more interesting. "Schwer, which one should we grill?" Yichen asked expectantly. "I'll leave it to you to decide." Lung Ruoxua started a fire. This one, they're all quite fat. Which one should I choose?" Yichen murmured to himself as he circled the fire rhinoceroses. The captured fire rhinoceroses all lowered their heads, afraid that they would be chosen by this nasty man. "Since they're all good, just pick any one," Lung Ruoxua suggested. "Then this one. It's the fattest one." Yichen pointed at a 200-kilogram fire rhinoceros and kicked it out. After being kicked, the fat fire rhinoceros rolled to Lung Ruoxia's feet like a ball. "Let's let out some blood first." Lung Ruoxua held a sharp dagger in her hand and gestured at the fat fire rhinoceros. "Boo-hoo. Don't eat me. My flesh stinks and isn't delicious." The fat fire rhinoceros whimpered and sobbed. "Where should I start?" "This is it." Lung Ruoxua thought for a long time before finally deciding on the spot to insert her knife. It was the fat fire rhinoceros butt. She raised her dagger and stabbed it fiercely. "Eha!" A shrill scream echoed through the entire forest. "Who's bullying my fire rhinoceros tribe?" A loud roar resounded from the distance. "You're finally out. It would have been better if you had cooperated earlier," Lung Ruoxua said with satisfaction after seeing that she had achieved her goal. They had caught so many fire rhinoceroses, but the fire rhinoceros king had actually pretended to be dead. Chapter 45, Fire Rhinoceros King 1. Alright, stop screaming. You won't die from the stab. Lung Ruoshua said to the fire rhinoceros, which was screaming miserably from being stabbed in the butt. She didn't really intend to kill it. She just wanted to scare it. However, it wasn't because she couldn't do it. She just felt that killing them would be letting them off too lightly. How could these fire rhinoceroses compensate for her big brother's injuries and grievances just by dying? Thus, she was more inclined to mental torture. After all, mental torture was always more effective than physical torture when dealing with enemies. Why, you are a demon? The fat fire rhinoceros stabbed in the butt cried out. Other humans would run away when they saw them. But these two detestable humans actually came knocking on their door. Humph. These two detestable humans will die for sure when the king comes. The king will definitely take revenge for this pain. The fat fire rhinoceros muttered in his head. Lung Ruoshua knew that the fire rhinoceros king was almost here, as she heard the sound of galloping drawing close. It seems to have brought a lot of subordinates. Come on, the more the merrier. What a brazen human! How dare you bully my tribe and my territory? Roared the fire rhinoceros king, which was nearly twice the size of an ordinary fire rhinoceros. Its thick nostrils spurted out flames continuously. It was very angry, and the consequences would be serious. So what if this young lady is bullying them? What can you do to me? Lung Ruoshua deliberately provoked. She didn't expect this fire rhinoceros king to be a level 5 holy beast. Moreover, it didn't even bat an eyelid about Quill, a level 8 holy beast, just because it had so many subordinates. It's really arrogant. Very good. This is what I like. It will be satisfying to tidy them up this way. She felt incomparably happy looking at the nearly 1,000 fire rhinoceroses in front of her. Human, you will regret this. The fire rhinoceros king bellowed furiously, its bell-sized eyes widening. Go, let this human taste the power of our fire rhinoceros tribe. The fire rhinoceros king roared. All the spirit beasts in the Misty Wood knew that it had a bad temper, so no beast dared to provoke it. It had been too used to its status as the king here, which was why it didn't do anything when the eagle first caught a fire rhinoceros. It knew about it, but it didn't pay too much attention since these people were of a higher level, and it thought they were just passing through. The death of 1 or 2 fire rhinoceroses wasn't a big deal to him after all. The forest was always a place where the strong preyed on the weak. But now, they had caught more than a dozen advanced fire rhinoceroses in a row, causing its tribe to panic. Therefore, it was impossible for it, the fire rhinoceros king, to overlook it. Fortunately, its tribe was huge, so it wasn't afraid of the eagle. As for these 2 humans, they were even less worthy of his attention, because they were just 2 people who came to court death in its eyes. Upon their king's orders, the fire rhinoceroses immediately surrounded Lung Ruoshua and Yi Chen. They glared at the 2 of them fiercely, especially the fat fire rhinoceros that had just been stabbed in the butt. Big or small? Lung Ruoshua asked. I'll take the big one, and leave the small ones for you to practice your sword moves. Yi Chen knew that Schwer hadn't really tested the power of her meteor sword technique yet. Exactly to my liking. Quill, keep an eye on them and don't let them escape, Lung Ruoshua ordered. Yes, master. Quill flew into the air, ready to capture fire rhinoceroses at any moment. Big Rhino, where are you looking? I'm your opponent. The fire rhinoceros king's lack of focus made Yi Chen very displeased. Lung Ruoshua looked at the nearly 1,000 fire rhinoceroses around her, raised the sword in her hand, and used Meteor Moonslash. A sword beam shot at the fire rhinoceroses like a shooting star. She didn't infuse spiritual power into the Meteor Moonslash just now, so it was just a pure sword move. But it left the thick-skinned fire rhinoceroses covered in wounds. Then she agilely weaved between the clumsy fire rhinoceroses and used Blazing Tree Silver Flower. The sword beams infused with fire attribute spiritual power swept at the fire rhinoceroses like blazing shooting stars, instantly killing more than half of them. She was extremely fast, and most of the clumsy fire rhinoceroses died before they could react. Seeing that the fire rhinoceroses were either dead or wounded and could no longer attack, Lung Ruoshua stopped and looked over at Yi Chen. Lung Ruoxua couldn't help but become a little speechless when she saw Yi Chen using only his fist to beat up the Fire Rhinoceros King, until it was unrecognizable, and kneeling on the ground begging for mercy. How tough must this freak's fist be to beat the Fire Rhinoceros King to such a state? Great masters, please spare me. It's all my fault for failing to recognize your greatness. Boo-hoo, the Fire Rhinoceros King pleaded. Don't worry. We won't kill you now, Lung Ruoxua said. She believed that the Fire Rhinoceros King must have now suffered a serious blow, both physically and mentally. As long as you answer my questions honestly, and your answers satisfy me, I will let you go. Really? The Fire Rhinoceros King asked fearfully. It was really scared of these two humans now. Where did these demons come from? Boo-hoo. You can choose not to believe me if you want to die now, Lung Ruoxua said impatiently. I believe you. I definitely believe you, the Fire Rhinoceros King said hurriedly. How could it dare not believe her? Very good. Then let me ask you, did your tribe almost kill a man a month ago? Lung Ruoxua asked. How do you know about that? The Fire Rhinoceros King was startled. Are these two demons here to avenge that man? Why did you want to kill him? Lung Ruoxua asked while suppressing her anger. We didn't want to kill him. We wanted to kill a woman who came to steal our Fire Rhinoceros fruits, the Fire Rhinoceros King said aggrievedly. Fire Rhinoceros fruits were their favorite fruit to eat, and they were very important to them. Anyone who wanted to steal them had to die. Tell me what happened in detail. Lung Ruoxua ordered. Yes. Yes. The Fire Rhinoceros King explained the situation at the time in great detail, and then it looked at Lung Ruoxua with a pleading gaze. Boo-hoo. I don't want to die. What did that woman look like? Lung Ruoxua asked. It turned out that the Fire Rhinoceros King was also seriously injured at the time, which was why that woman was lucky to have survived. I can't say. She should be very beautiful according to human standards, the Fire Rhinoceros King said. Fire rhinoceroses didn't like human women. Chapter 46. Fire Rhinoceros King 2. Then if you see her again, can you recognize her? See can. I will recognize her even if she turns into ashes, the Fire Rhinoceros King hurriedly promised. Oh, bring her here. I won't kill you if you can recognize her, Lung Ruoxua said. Why yes. Lung Ruoxua took out a pill and stuffed it into the Fire Rhinoceros King's mouth. This is poison. Don't even think about running. Otherwise, you won't last 3 days. And no. The Fire Rhinoceros King was on the brink of tears. This was its territory, so where could it run? It wasn't easy to conquer such a territory, so how could it bear to abandon it? After doing what she came here to do, Lung Ruoxua and Yi Chen left the misty woods. Of course, they didn't forget to take the dead fire rhinoceroses with them. They were their spoils of war. Swear, did you really give the Fire Rhinoceros King poison? Yi Chen asked curiously. Of course not. It will just cause diarrhea for some time, Lung Ruoxua said mischievously. How long will it last? Yi Chen was curious. Until I give it the antidote, Lung Ruoxua said matter-of-factly. Doesn't that mean it won't have the strength to run? So ruthless, but he liked it. Does it dare to run? That fellow might look mighty, but it's actually very cowardly, Lung Ruoxua said clear-headedly. They had caught more than a dozen fire rhinoceroses, so that fellow knew that it couldn't continue to ignore the situation. If it weren't for the sake of protecting its dignity as the Fire Rhinoceros King, it wouldn't have been willing to come out. Moreover, it only came out as a bluff by relying on its numbers. Quill, find an open space to stop, Lung Ruoxua said all of a sudden. What's the matter? Yi Chen was puzzled. I'm going to break through, Lung Ruoxua explained. She had broken through to advanced spiritual sovereign for several months now, and had stored up enough spiritual power, but there had been no sign of advancing to peak spiritual sovereign. She didn't expect to feel that she was going to break through from the fight just now. Quill found a relatively flat place to land. Lung Ruoxua jumped off Quill's back and sat cross-legged on the ground. She broke through to peak spiritual sovereign in no time, since it was only a minor stage. So except for the relatively low-level silver wolves advancing 1 or 2 levels, none of her other beasts advanced. Lung Ruoxue gazed at her spiritual power that was a deep gold color, a color that only peak spiritual sovereigns possessed. Spiritual power would have color after breaking through to great spiritualist. The color for great spiritualist was silvery white. For spiritual monarch, it was light gold, and the color from elementary to peak would gradually deepen. The color for spiritual sovereign was gold, and it would also gradually deepen from elementary to peak. It was the same for spiritual supremacy and spiritual deity. The color for spiritual supremacy was purple gold, and the color for spiritual deity was purple. Moreover, there was no elementary, intermediate, advanced, or peak for spiritual deity. When using spiritual skills to fight, the spiritual power released would mainly be the color of the spiritual power attribute, except that there would be a colored layer corresponding to the user's spiritual power level enveloping it. This way, it would be easy to differentiate the levels of people when others were watching them fight. Otherwise, people of low levels wouldn't be able to know the strength of those of higher levels. It took a long time to advance to peak spiritual sovereign, Lung Ruoxue complained. Her heaven-defying art was still at the second level. Only after completing the second level would her strength be equivalent to spiritual supremacy. Be content, you greedy little thing. Many people never reach spiritual sovereign, Yi Chen said with feigned anger. That's true. Lung Ruoxue was just joking. In fact, she was very satisfied. Even though she hadn't advanced to spiritual supremacy yet with her current strength, she might not necessarily lose to someone at that level. If she had the chance, she had to find an unlucky spiritual supremacy to try. After Lung Ruoxue and Yi Chen returned to the Lung residence, they went to their respective rooms to rest. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue went to see her big brother as soon as she woke up. But she didn't expect Yi Chen to be earlier than her. Moreover, the two of them seemed to be chatting happily. She couldn't help being curious. What are they talking about? Big brother. Swear you're here. Lung Ruhan's mood had improved significantly. Why are you here? Lung Ruoxue looked at Yi Chen in puzzlement. This fellow actually didn't go back to his home after returning to Phoenix City last night, but insisted on staying at her place. I came to chat with Big Brother, Yi Chen said with a light smile. What were you talking about? Lung Ruoxue was curious. Are they close? This is a secret between men, Yi Chen said mysteriously. Then you continue chatting with Big Brother first. I have something to do, Lung Ruoxue said. TSK, he's actually leaving me hanging. With that, she left the cold tea pavilion. Swear. Lung Ruhan called out from behind her. Is Swear angry? He asked worriedly. Swear actually ignored me. Big brother, don't worry. She won't be angry, Yi Chen said. Miss, why are you back so soon? Lu Tao was slightly surprised when she saw her young miss, who had just left, return within a short time. It's okay, Lu Tao. You and Cui Zhu just have to cultivate diligently. Lung Ruoxue reminded her. Before leaving, she had left spiritual essence pills for them. So these two girls were now intermediate spiritual monarchs. Yes, Mississippi, don't worry. Cui Zhu and I will cultivate seriously, Lu Tao said gratefully. If not for their young miss, they didn't know how long it would have taken for them to advance to spiritual monarch. Moreover, after consuming the spiritual essence pill she left for them, they clearly felt that they absorbed spiritual power much faster than before. Eat this. One each for you and Cui Zhu. Lung Ruoxue took out 2 red spirit fruits. Thank you, Mississippi. Lu Tao knew that everything her young miss gave was something good. I don't need any attending here. Leave and eat the spirit fruit. Lung Ruoxue said yes. Swear. Grandfather. Swear, do you have a way to treat Ruhan's injuries? Lung Qingtian asked directly. He knew that Ruhan was willing to speak now. I don't know either. I have to search through the pill formulas Master left me, Lung Ruoxue said. Look for it then. Grandpa will accompany Ruhan, Lung Qingtian said worriedly. Grandpa, don't go yet. Yi Chen is there. They seem to be having a good time chatting. Lung Ruoxue stopped him. She was afraid that her grandfather wouldn't be able to control himself and reveal a pained expression when he saw her big brother. That would put a lot of pressure on him. Chapter 47. Breakthrough at last. Okay. Grandpa won't go see him now. He knew that his grandson was a proud person, and the last thing he needed was pity, even if it was from his relatives. Grandpa, let's enter the heaven and earth bracelet to take a look. It has changed a lot since I unlocked a layer of the seal, Lung Ruoxua said. Okay. Grandpa will enter and take a look then. Lung Ruoxua brought her grandfather into the heaven and earth bracelet. Lung Qingshan's eyes widened as he stared at the scenery in front of him. The space had become larger, and the spiritual energy was denser than before. It was really a good place to cultivate. Swear, where did these silver wolves come from? Lung Qingtian looked curiously at the silver wolves running around leisurely, or lying on their stomachs in the distance. They are my contracted spirit beasts, Lung Ruoxua said. The Silver Wolf King had been imploring her to let his subordinates in ever since he entered. Seeing that this place was pretty big, she had moved the silver wolves, staying in the spirit beast space here. Lung Qingtian was speechless. My granddaughter is really too abnormal. Swear, do you know that spiritual sovereigns can only contract up to 3 spirit beasts? 5 for spiritual supremacies. And it is said that the spiritual deities, the highest level on the Lingfeng continent, can contract 10. Lung Qingtian didn't know what to say. Grandpa, I have more than just these silver wolves. I also have a divine beast and 2 level 8 holy beasts. The Silver Wolf King advanced 1 level after coming here, and he's now a level 7 holy beast, Lung Ruoxua explained mischievously. Grandpa should feel relieved now. Most of these silver wolves are holy beasts as well, right? Lung Qingtian asked. Yes, they are generally level 2 and 3 holy beasts. You're still not satisfied with level 2 and 3? The 5 great families combined don't have as many holy beasts as you do. Lung Qingtian couldn't help but sigh. The top families didn't have as good a holy beast allocation as everyone imagined, because there were many younger generations and disciples. Most of them had advanced spirit beasts. They were not qualified to enjoy holy beasts, unless they were the top geniuses in their respective families. Swear, Grandpa can finally rest assured now, Lung Qingtian said. No one on the Lingfeng continent can bully Swear with these spirit beasts of hers. By the way, Swear, what level are you now? Lung Qingtian asked curiously. Swear had always been hiding her true strength, so even he, a spiritual supremacy, couldn't discern her level. Grandpa, see for yourself. Lung Ruoxua casually removed the shield hiding her level. Spiritual sovereign. Peak spiritual sovereign. Monster, what a monster. Ruhan and Huiqing were called stunning geniuses when they advanced to spiritual sovereign at the age of 20. His granddaughter was only 15 years old. A 15-year-old peak spiritual sovereign. Isn't this a deliberate blow to my confidence? Big sister, big sister. The little wolf rubbed against Lung Ruoxua's calf coquettishly. Grandpa, this is little Feng Feng, the Silver Wolf King's child. Lung Ruoxua introduced. Hello, little Feng Feng. Lung Qingtian pet the little silver wolf's head lovingly. Spirit beast cubs were very cute. Hello, Grandpa. The little wolf greeted politely. Good. And me. And me. Beloved Master's Grandpa. I am beloved Master's darling. Darling refused to be outdone. A few drops of sweat rolled down Lung Qingshan's forehead. Is this cute little purple fox saying a tongue twister? Grandpa, his name is Darling, a cringy fox, Lung Ruoxua explained. Oh hee. Darling is very cute, Lung Qingtian said. This fox is quite interesting. Yes. Beloved Master's Grandpa, you have good taste, Darling said proudly. Grandpa, talk to them for a while. I'll go and see if there are any pill formulas that can cure Big Brother. Go on. I'll chat with these cute little fellows. Don't worry about me. Lung Ruoxua walked into the alchemy room of the purple bamboo hut and carefully read the notes her master left behind, looking for a pill formula that could cure her brother. Qingju, big sister. Qingju appeared directly in front of Lung Ruoxua when he heard her calling. Qingju, you should know my brother's condition. Yes. Although he couldn't leave the heaven and earth bracelet currently, he knew about the situation outside. I just read Master's notes. There are no related pill formulas recorded in them. Have you heard Master mention anything before? Lung Ruoxua asked. Qingju had traveled through many spaces with her master and knew a lot of things. Big sister, old master still has a utility room. The things inside are all things that old master didn't think were important. You can look through there. If there isn't anything there, then there isn't any, Qingju said after some thought. Where? I'll bring you. Big sister, this is the place, Qingju said. Lung Ruoxua looked at the so-called utility room. It was very neat and tidy. Although it was full of things that her master didn't fancy, he didn't throw them into here casually. Alas, her master's standards were too high. Every piece of junk in this utility room would be a priceless treasure if taken outside. But her master didn't fancy them at all. However, she was not as extravagant as her master, and many things here were still very useful to her currently. Lung Ruoxua carefully searched through every corner, and finally found what she needed among a pile of pill formulas that her master thought were useless. The pill formula had an essence restoration pill, an intermediate pill that wasn't difficult to concoct. She was just short of the main ingredient, essence restoration grass. She had all the other herbs, but what was essence restoration grass? Grandpa. Lung Ruoxua left the purple bamboo hut and saw her grandfather playing with little Feng Feng. Shuer, how is it? Did you find anything? Lung Qingtian asked anxiously when he saw his granddaughter come out. Yes. Grandpa, don't worry. Big brother will be fine. Lung Ruoxua comforted him. That's good, that's good. Lung Qingtian finally felt relieved. Grandpa, I have the pill formula, but am missing the main ingredient. Chapter 48. Missing the essence restoration grass. What is it? Grandpa will get people to buy it immediately, Lung Qingtian said anxiously. Essence restoration grass. Although Lung Ruoxua had never heard of essence restoration grass, Qingju said that it was not a very precious medicinal herb. Grandpa will get people to find it. Grandpa, it won't hurt to wait a bit longer. Let's go see Big Brother. She was also at ease now that she had the pill formula. Okay. They arrived at the cold tea pavilion and heard people talking before they were near. It's Old Man Lin, Lung Qingtian said. Old Man Lin had been coming to his home to bring news almost every day ever since Ruhan was injured. Ruhan, Master is relieved that you are willing to speak, Lin Liang said sadly. Ruhan was his only disciple, and he had just advanced to spiritual sovereign not long ago. But who knew that something like this would happen? Alas, he was useless and let his disciple suffer. He also let his old friend down. Master, I'm fine now. Don't worry. Lung Ruhan comforted him. He had known for a long time that he was already a disabled person who could no longer cultivate spiritual power. The reason he was still alive now was all because Arden had exchanged his life for his. Thus, he wouldn't wallow in self-pity. He would live well. He would not let Arden's sacrifice be in vain. Old thing, why are you here again? Didn't I tell you that you don't need to bring news every day? Lung Qingtian shouted as soon as he entered the room. After entering the room, Lung Ruoxua saw her brother sitting opposite Grandpa Lin, who didn't like her much. Meanwhile, Yichen was sitting in a corner. Grandpa Lin. Lung Ruoxua greeted Lin Liang. Although she was a little angry at the people of the Heavenly Phoenix Academy, this person was her grandfather's friend and her brother's master, so she would still give him face. Ruoxua, you're back. Lin Liang nodded. This little girl seems different from the last time I saw her. Yes. Spend more time with Ruhan. He's been very worried about you since you left home, Lin Liang said. Sometimes, he would be jealous that this girl had such a loving grandfather and brother. I will. I won't let anyone who bullies Big Brother off either, Lung Ruoxua said, implying that he shouldn't stop her from doing what she wanted to do. Ruhan, you have a good sister. Lin Liang smiled bitterly. This girl is warning me. Fine. I'll let this girl do what is inconvenient for me to do. I know. Of course, Lung Ruhan knew that he had a good sister. Lass, you are a student of our academy. Now that you are home, shouldn't you go to the academy for classes? Lin Liang reminded her. Of course. But I want to stay at home and accompany Big Brother for a few days before going. How could she find those people to take revenge if she didn't go to the academy? She would definitely go to the academy. May I go? Yi Chen suddenly asked. Lin Liang looked at Yi Chen for a long time, but he couldn't discern anything. Okay, go with Ruoxua, Lin Liang said helplessly. Am I too old? I can't see through the youngsters these days. Thank you. Big brother, let's grill some meat later. Lung Ruoxua suggested. Anything you like. Lung Ruhan had always granted his sister's requests. How could he have any objections? Swear, what meat is this? It smells so good. Lung Qingtian couldn't help asking when he smelled the alluring meat. Swear specially kept some earth python meat for Grandpa and Big Brother. How is it, old thing? My granddaughter is still the most filial, isn't she? It's all thanks to Ruhan and me that you can eat such delicious meat, Lung Qingtian said proudly. Knowing that his grandson had a chance to be cured, he felt relaxed. Yes, I'm so envious of you. Lin Liang rolled his eyes at him. He had not had a good night's sleep since Ruhan's accident. He felt relieved seeing Ruhan pull himself together today. Swear, is this wind rabbit meat? Lung Ruhan couldn't help asking after eating another piece of meat. Yes. Big brother, eat less. There will be something better in a bit. Lung Ruoxua said mysteriously. Something better? Lung Qingshan's curiosity was piqued. Is there any meat more delicious than earth python and wind rabbit? Well, this meat tastes better with Schwer seasonings. Of course. This is it. Lung Ruoxua took out a large piece of meat that she had prepared from her ring and started grilling it on the fire. Although this meat tastes good, it's not as delicious as the earth python meat, Lung Ruhan said in puzzlement after taking a bite. Yes, Schwer, what meat is this? Lung Qingtian was also a little curious. Fire rhinoceros meat, Lung Ruoxua said. This meat is good. Is there any more? Lin Liang asked. He would eat their meat since they dared hurt his disciple. A lot. Give me more. Master, you've already eaten a lot, Lung Ruhan couldn't help saying. I'm not full yet, Lin Liang said childishly. No more today. Big brother needs to rest. Everyone disperse, Lung Ruoxua said. I didn't say I wanted to rest, Lung Ruhan said aggrievedly. Schwer is so overbearing. Lung Ruoxua secretly gave Yi Chen a look. Yi Chen understood and went directly to Lung Ruhan's ear to say a few words. After this, Lung Ruhan obediently returned to his room to rest. What did you say to Big Brother just now? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously after her grandfather and the others left. Nothing much. I just told him that Schwer would be angry if he didn't listen, so he went to bed obediently, Yi Chen explained. That simple. Yes, that simple. I'm smart, right? Yi Chen said proudly. I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed, Lung Ruoxua said indifferently while rolling her eyes at him. She was going to let this freak be proud on his own. Big brother. Lung Ruoxua called softly when she came to her brother's room. Her brother's complexion had improved a lot over the past few days. Schwer. Lung Ruhan, who was standing by the window, turned around. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.